Chapter 149. Do you think I can do anything about it now? On the battlefield, Chu Bei looked at the Tri-Island Dragon King calmly, his face expressionless. Human, you deserve to die. The Tri-Island Dragon King looked at the battlefield below, his roar filled with murderous intent. Cold in the forest's eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. His ferocious expression showed that he wanted to grind Chu Bei into ashes. Now, the ancient void dragons of the Tri-Island Dragon King had been completely annihilated. They had lost their momentum, all thanks to this guy who had appeared out of nowhere. Furious dragon roars rang out. The Tri-Island Dragon King transformed into huge dragons that were several thousand zhang tall. Violent energy spewed out of their ferocious mouths at the same time. Their blood-red dragon eyes stared at Chu Bei with incomparable hatred. Rumble! The Tri-Island Dragon King spewed out terrifying energy beams that collapsed the void, shooting toward Chu Bei from different directions. Sensing the terrifying energy waves in the beams, Qing Shan, Qing Shui, Zhu Li, and the rest of the spectators frowned. A hint of seriousness appeared on their faces. On the other hand, Chu Bei's expression did not change at all. He still looked as calm as ever. Boom! However, just as the terrifying beams of light from the Tri-Island Dragon King were about to engulf Chu Bei, a blinding divine light bloomed from the surface of his body, blocking the three beams of light from different directions. Unknowingly, a 2-meter-long black iron rod appeared in Chu Bei's hand. There was a golden hoop on each end of the rod. Taking a closer look, there were 5 golden words engraved next to the upper golden hoop, Rui Jiangu Bang. The blinding divine light that Chu Bei blocked the Tri-Island Dragon King's attack was emitted by this black iron rod. Chu Bei waved the black iron rod and swept it out. With a loud boom, the 3 beams of light from the Tri-Island Dragon King shattered. Is that Rod Boss Chu's weapon? Above the Dragon Palace, Venerable Wind's gaze was fixed on the black iron rod in Chu Bei's hand. He was shocked. As for Xiao Yin, his eyes were already wide open. His expression was as if he had seen the black iron rod before. The Dragon Kings of the 3 islands exchanged glances when they saw their attacks being neutralized. Shock flashed across their eyes. After exchanging eye contact, the dragon tail swung and once again shot out terrifying energy light waves. Unfortunately, no matter how powerful the 3 Dragon Kings were, they appeared extremely weak in front of the black metal rod. Now, it's my turn. Before the Dragon King of the Tri-Islands could attack again, Chu Bei's smiling voice rang out on the battlefield. Meeting Chu Bei's playful gaze, the Tri-Island Dragon King shuddered as a sense of danger welled up in his heart. Buzz! The void trembled. Chu Bei's figure suddenly disappeared. When he appeared again, he was already above the Dragon King of the West Island. He waved the black iron rod in his hand, which was surrounded by 5 colored flames. Die! As soon as the emotionless syllable fell, the black iron rod in Chu Bei's hand fell, directly facing the huge body of the Dragon King of the West Island. As he waved the rod, the void suddenly fluctuated strangely. The words Rui Jingu Bang below the golden hoop bloomed with dazzling divine light. The 5 colored flames split into 5, as if they had become living creatures. Looking at the black iron rod above his head, which was incomparably small compared to his 10,000-foot-tall body, the Dragon King of the West Island was about to say something when the black iron rod suddenly grew longer and thicker, as if it had become harder. The strange aura fluctuations contained in it also became more and more terrifying. The Dragon King of the West Island had no time to dodge. After letting out a low dragon roar, the layers of scales on his huge head, body, and arms glowed with a strange luster. However, even with such a powerful defense, it collapsed after a second. The black iron rod, which had become 10,000 foot tall, instantly shattered the hard scales on the surface of his body. The terrifying energy contained in the rod penetrated his body along with the 5 kinds of alien fires and exploded. Bang! A 10,000-foot-large golden energy storm swept across the battlefield with the Dragon King of the West Island in the middle of the earth-shaking loud sound. Under this energy storm, even the weaker ancient void dragons, who were in the safe zone of the Dragon Hall, were horrified to feel the blood in their bodies boil uncontrollably. The entire eastern Dragon Island became quiet after the explosion. Many pairs of eyes contained a rich shock. They looked at the distant battlefield and stared at the figure holding the black iron rod. This rod strike was something that even an advanced 3-star Do Shang like the Western Island Dragon King could only painfully struggle for a moment. His miserable, painful cry had yet to completely reverberate when his body and soul exploded and disappeared with a bang. Who exactly are you? The death of the Dragon King of the West Island immediately caused the Dragon King of the South Island and the Dragon King of the North Island to panic. Die! Another icy cold voice sounded beside everyone's ears. At this moment, the Dragon King of the South Island seemed to have sensed something. His body trembled and his expression changed. He lifted his head and saw that the figure had appeared above him. The figure had once again swung the black iron rod in his hand. However, this time around, he had become the target. The Dragon King of the South Island's eyes rapidly shrank. However, no matter how he tried to unleash his spatial strength, it was to no avail. His body seemed to have been locked and restrained by the energy within the black iron rod. A similar scene played out once again. The 10,000-foot-long black iron rod violently smashed into the Dragon King of the South Island. The golden energy storm and the 5 types of heavenly flames were like natural disasters in the empty space. They wildly unleashed destructive shockwaves and terrifying temperatures. That kind of impact caused even the 2 great elders, Qing Shui and Qing Shan, to involuntarily step back. No, no. The expression of the Dragon King of the North Island changed completely as he looked at the Dragon King of the South Island, who had also died. An extremely terrified expression rose in his eyes. Regardless of whether it was the Dragon King of the West Island or the Dragon King of the South Island, their strength was roughly the same as his. In other words, even if he was struck by the black iron rod, he would suffer the same fate. A paleness surfaced on the face of the Dragon King of the North Island when he thought of this. Retreat. The Dragon King of the North Island glanced at Chu Bei with fear. This was the best choice he could make at the moment. The deaths of the Dragon King of the West Island and the Dragon King of the South Island made him extremely certain that the person in front of him was not someone he could fight against. Suddenly, a dragon's roar rang out. The Dragon King of the North Island's sharp claws tore through the void. Thinking of leaving? However, just as the Dragon King of the North Island was about to flee, a mocking sneer spread through the void. In the next moment, the Dragon King of the North Island felt that the void he was in was confined by a strange force. The ancient Void Dragon clan was proficient in spatial strength. However, at this moment, they could not break through the void and escape. Almost at the same time, Chu Bei's figure disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above the Dragon King of the North Island. Compared to the Dragon King of the North Island's 10,000-foot-long dragon body, Chu Bei seemed extremely small. However, the aura released by the black iron rod in his hand was far stronger than the Dragon King of the North Island. Since you won't let me go, let's die together. The Dragon King of the North Island narrowed his eyes as he looked at the rapidly expanding black iron rod that was falling from above. The Dragon King of the North Island seemed to have made a painful decision as he let out a cold cry. He opened his ferocious mouth and sucked in the energy between heaven and earth. His already huge body swelled rapidly. The North Island Dragon King let out a dragon roar filled with hatred. His body swelled as he rushed toward Chu Bei. His aura became even more violent and powerful. Oh no, he's going to self-destruct. Sensing the Dragon King of the North Island's intention, Elder Qing Shui and Elder Qing Shan, who were not far away, changed their expressions. The Dragon King of the North Island had the strength of an advanced 3-star Do Shang. The moment he self-destructed, it would not be weaker than the full-force attack of a 4-star Do Shang. Chu Bei's expression did not change as he looked at the Dragon King of the North Island charging toward him. He was still calm and composed. He held one end of the black iron rod with both hands and swung it down heavily. Boom! The energy wave produced by the Dragon King's self-destruction collided with the golden light that erupted from the tip of the black iron rod. Amidst the earth-shaking roar, the two of them were in a deadlock for a short while. Then, the The golden light's power increased again and directly destroyed the energy wave. As the sound of the explosion disappeared, the battlefield gradually became quiet. Only Chu Bei's figure was left. It's over. Xiao Yin looked at the sky in a daze. His face was filled with admiration for Chu Bei. Boss Chu's strength is probably at the advanced level of the Dosheng realm. Venerable Feng's gaze was fixed on Chu Bei. His eyes were filled with respect. 3 steps, 3 rods, annihilating 3 kings. Finally, it's over. Ziyin muttered and let out a long sigh. Qing Shan, Qing Shui, Zhu Li, and the other experts of the East Dragon Island recovered from their shock one after another. They first looked at each other before joy appeared on their faces. Thank you for resolving the crisis of the East Dragon Island. Qing Shan and Qing Shui went forward. After glancing at the Rui Jingu Bang in Chu Bei's hand with fear, they cupped their fists toward Chu Bei. Although I killed many of your experts in this battle, they already had thoughts of betrayal. If I let them go now, they will definitely come again. Chu Bei's gaze swept across Qing Shan and Qing Shui as he spoke calmly. We know all this. What you did was exactly what I wanted to do. It's a pity that we were not strong enough. If you hadn't arrived in time, we probably wouldn't have been able to protect ourselves, let alone kill these traitors. Qing Shan and Qing Shui looked at each other. While they shook their heads and sighed, there was also a hint of relief on their faces. Go and arrange for your clansmen to clean up the battlefield. As soon as he finished speaking, Chu Bei put away the Rui Jingu Bang and flew toward where Ziyin, Xiao Yin, and the others were. Although this battle had directly reduced the number of ancient void dragons by 3/4, the surviving ancient void dragons were absolutely loyal to Ziyin. As for the weakened version of the Rui Jingu Bang that she had used in the battle, it was a grade 10 middle grade item. It was also a one-time consumable item. Boss, thank you. Ziyin walked toward Chu Bei and bowed very seriously. Her face was filled with gratitude. You're so young, but you're already carrying so much courage. Chu Bei patted Ziyin's shoulder gently. There was sympathy in his eyes. After sighing, he said, When I'm free, I'll bring the old Dragon Emperor out and let you regain your freedom. Old Dragon Emperor? Are you referring to my father? Hearing Chu Bei's words, Ziyin's eyes widened. At this moment, the expressions of Zhu Li, He Qing, and Qing Shan and Qing Shui, who were eavesdropping on Chu Bei's conversation, suddenly froze. Chapter 150. Boss Chu, do you mean that the old Dragon Emperor is still alive? He Qing looked at Chu Bei excitedly. As soon as he finished speaking, he realized that something was wrong and quickly shut his mouth. The 2 great elders, Qing Shan and Qing Shui, also appeared beside Chu Bei at the first moment. Their eyes were filled with hope. He is indeed still alive, but it won't be easy for you to bring him out. Chu Bei's gaze swept across everyone. Boss Chu, please tell us the location of the old Dragon Emperor. No matter what, we have to try. Qing Shan and Qing Shui looked at each other and cupped their fists towards Chu Bei. From Chu Bei's words, they already had some guesses in their hearts. The old Dragon Emperor must be in great danger. Otherwise, with his strength, he would have returned to the dragon tribe long ago. The inner court of Canaan, the bottom of the blazing sky chi refining tower. Chu Bei did not say much and did not say much. Blazing sky chi refining tower? Why is it there? Hearing the name of the place, Ziyin's mouth opened wide. Her face was filled with astonishment. Otherwise, why do you think you would appear near Canaan College? Chu Bei looked at Ziyin and said with a smile, Thank you, Boss Chu, for telling us. Qing Shan and Qing Shui were grateful. Since it's over, we should go back. At this point, Chu Bei's gaze returned to Ziyin. If you need the Dragon Phoenix Origin Fruit, remember to bring the money to the All Heavens shop. Dragon Phoenix Origin Fruit? What's that? Ziyin was stunned. But just as she was about to ask, Chu Bei and the rest had already left and disappeared. On the other hand, Qing Shan, Qing Shui, He Qing and the other ancient dragons became unusually excited when they heard about the Dragon Phoenix Origin Fruit. Tianhuang City, above the Bluestone Square. A ripple appeared and Chu Bei and the rest appeared. Something's not right. As soon as they walked out of the void, Xiao Yin noticed the abnormality in the surroundings. Ever since the All Heavens shop was built on the Bluestone Plaza, the Bluestone Plaza had been bustling with people all the time. They were like this before they left, but now, the huge Bluestone Plaza was empty. There was no one in sight, and it was deathly silent. Venerable Feng and Yao Chen also gradually frowned. Their eyes swept around them. Ta-ta-ta. At this moment, a black shadow jumped out from a corner of the street in the distance and waved at Chu Bei and the others. Seeing this, Chu Bei and the rest instantly landed in front of the black figure. Boss Chu, I'm an elder of the Liu family. I've been waiting for you here for a while. The Liu family elder first respectfully bowed towards Chu Bei before hastily saying, Soul Palace's people came here, but you weren't in the residence. They couldn't do anything to your residence, so they could only leave first. Soul Palace? Chu Bei frowned. No wonder the entire city became silent all of a sudden, Xiao Yin understood. As Soul Palace's actions were getting bigger and bigger, its name was not only known by the Central Plains cultivators, but even ordinary citizens had heard of it. Hence, when they learned that Soul Palace's army had appeared on the Bluestone Plaza, they all hid in their homes. Boss Chu, Soul Palace's heavenly venerables have invaded Burning Flame Valley. I've come on the orders of the Valley Master to plead for your help. Not long after, a divine rainbow flew over from the east. He was wearing a red robe. It was Elder Chihua, who Chu Bei had met a few times before. At this moment, Elder Chihua's face was a little pale. His aura was chaotic, and there were many bloody wounds on his body. He came in front of Chu Bei and immediately knelt down. His anxious eyes were filled with pleading. Side mission activated. Host has completed the 9-Dragon Thunder Fire Trade. Mission completion reward, 1 use of a high-grade level 10 commodity. Host can use the fixed-point teleportation formation, Burning Fire Mountain Range. As soon as Elder Chihua finished speaking, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Chu Bei was slightly stunned. Then, he shook his head and could not help but sigh. I've just finished rushing to one place. I haven't even entered the residence, but I have to rush to the next place. Let's go. After sighing, Chu Bei waved his hand and disappeared with Venerable Wind and the rest, as well as Elder Chihua. When they arrived at the Burning Fire Mountain Range, the lush green color receded. At a glance, most of the land was scarlet red. There was not even a speck of grass on the ground. The environment was rather harsh. Soon, Chu Bei and the rest appeared in front of a scarlet mountain peak. In front of them were 2 extremely majestic scarlet mountains that were tightly attached to each other. A winding stone staircase climbed up from the foot of the mountain. Boss Chu, this battle seems to be very tragic. Xiao Yin pointed at the end of the stone staircase. It was filled with broken walls and ruins. One could vaguely feel the dilapidated spatial fluctuations. This place was originally a firm spatial barrier. However, at this moment, someone had forcefully broken through it. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Chu Bei and the rest had just passed through the spatial barrier when various buzzing sounds of fighting resounded in their ears. The sounds of swords and sabers clashing. The sounds of Do techniques clashing, shouts, and miserable cries intertwined with one another. I didn't expect the Burning Flame Valley to be a world of its own, Xiao Yin exclaimed. Then, a look of pity appeared in his eyes. In front of him, in this endless valley, there were many places where flames soared into the sky. Accompanying the flames was a black fog that filled the sky that was filled with coldness. The originally lush greenery in the valley had been completely destroyed. Vast and majestic buildings had been burned and collapsed. Every corner was a battlefield. There were either rivers of blood or people still fighting with injuries. Among them, the battles in the sky were the most intense. Various Do techniques intertwined with one another. Lights flickered and the rumbling sounds of collisions continued without end. Looking down from the sky, the big and small battlefields in the Burning Flame Valley could be divided into 2 types of energy. One was a fiercely burning flame while the other was a rolling black fog. The former belonged to the experts from the Burning Flame Valley, while the latter belonged to the experts from the Hall of Souls. In an instant, Chu Bei sensed the aura of the 9-Dragon Lightning Flame. That was the center of the most intense battle in the Burning Flame Valley. Tang Jun's entire body was covered by a silver-colored flame within the battlefield. As the flame rose, one could vaguely see 9 silver-colored fire dragons shuttling within the flame. These 9 small fire dragons appeared to possess intelligence. They would occasionally emit some dragon's might as they swam, causing one's spiritual strength to feel a little pressured. At this moment, Tang Jun was fighting 2 people by himself and was at a disadvantage. However, due to the existence of the 9 dragon lightning flame, he did not show any signs of being defeated. He was merely fighting with some difficulty. According to the information of my Hall of Souls, you are merely a 4-star Dozun. It is unexpected that you are actually an 8-star Dozun. You have hidden yourself very well. The third Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls emitted a cold snort after forcing Tang Jun back with a punch. Tang Jun coldly stared at the third Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls. He did not respond. Half a month ago, he was indeed a 4-star Dozun. However, due to him visiting the All-Heaven shop many times, his current cultivation had already reached the advanced 8-star Dozun class. He was only a step away from breaking through to the 9-star Dozun class. He also rejoiced. If he had not reached the advanced 8-star Dozun class, he would not have been able to face the 3rd and 5th Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls in front of him. Forget it. I shall not waste time with you. The 3rd Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls appeared to be unwilling to continue fighting with Tang Jun. After his sigh sounded, he took out a bright silver-colored jade tablet from his storage ring. He clenched his hand and suddenly shattered it. Tang Jun knit his brows when he saw this scene. A bad premonition suddenly rose in his heart. An extremely powerful spatial strength surged out after the jade tablet in the hand of the 3rd Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls was shattered. The next moment, the space was distorted into a crack line. A strong black-robed figure slowly walked out of the spatial crack line. The space above the burning flame valley shook the moment the black-robed figure appeared. Numerous spatial crack lines spread like a spiderweb. Doshang. Tang Jun's expression sank when he sensed the aura fluctuation of the black-robed figure. The danger that the other party gave him was even greater than that of Saint Guyu, whom he had met in the ancient remains. Greetings to First Tianzuan. The 3rd and 5th Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls immediately bowed to the black-robed man. Although they were all Tianzuan, there was still a great gap between their statuses due to the great disparity in strength. You can't even deal with a small valley chief of the burning flame valley. Is there a need for me to intervene? The eyes of the Hall of Souls' first Tianzuan coldly swept over the 3rd and 5th Tianzuan. His eyes were filled with disdain as he looked at Tang Jun. The Hall of Souls' first Tianzuan extended his hand toward Tang Jun and clenched it slightly after his cold voice sounded. Buzz. Immediately, the space around Tang Jun became distorted and sealed. At this moment, Tang Jun clearly sensed that the do-chi flow in his body had slowed or even stagnated. Even using the heavenly flame had become incomparably difficult. However, just as the distorted spatial strength was about to seep into his body and tear it apart, another external force arrived. A bang sounded and destroyed the spatial strength that the Hall of Souls' first Tianzuan had unleashed. Tang Jun was stunned at first but quickly reacted. He immediately turned his head and looked around. Indeed, a figure appeared beside him in the next second. Boss Chu. Tang Jun revealed a joyous expression when he saw the appearance of the person who had arrived. Valley Chief Tang, after I help you deal with this group of Hall of Souls, I would like to make a deal with you. Is that possible? Chu Bei calmly looked at Tang Jun. A deal? Tang Jun frowned, revealing a confused expression. A deal related to the 9 dragon lightning flame. Chu Bei opened his mouth. I want to become a Doshang. Tang Jun did not appear too shocked when he heard Chu Bei's words. Instead, he directly stated his request. When he saw that Chu Bei possessed 5 types of heavenly flames, he had thought that the other party would target his 9 dragon lightning flame. At that time, he was already mentally prepared. When he heard Chu Bei propose a deal with the heavenly flame, he directly expressed his thoughts. No problem. Chu Bei nodded and promised. You are the one who killed Guyu? Murderous intent surged in the eyes of the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate when he saw Chu Bei's sudden arrival. You will be able to see him in a while. Chu Bei's gaze shifted to the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. Arrogant. The Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate flipped his hand as he shouted coldly. A pitch-black chain extended from his palm with a clear metallic sound. Finally, it wrapped around the surface of his fist and emitted a soul-stirring, dense black fog. In the next moment, the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate disappeared from his original spot. When he reappeared, he was already in front of Chu Bei and threw a punch. Chu Bei did not dodge. 5 colored flames wrapped around the surface of his fist. Sizzling sounds of burning could be heard as he met the attack. Bang! Chu Bei did not move at all when the two pure forces collided. On the other hand, the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate trembled and was sent flying through the void. When the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate stabilized his body and looked at Chu Bei again, shock flashed through his eyes and a solemn expression appeared on his face. Then, the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate looked at the third heavenly venerate and the fifth heavenly venerate. Then, the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate glanced at Chu Bei before disappearing into the void. Boss Chu, that guy escaped. Tang Zhun quickly reacted when he saw the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate disappear and hurriedly shouted at Chu Bei. He can't leave. A calm but incomparably domineering voice drifted through the air. In the next moment, Chu Bei pointed with his right hand, and the void not far from where the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate disappeared suddenly exploded. The void collapsed, and a large amount of spatial fragments scattered. The Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate, who had disappeared, reappeared before everyone's eyes. Perhaps it was because he had been bombarded by Chu Bei's power, but his originally intact clothes were completely tattered. There were even a few blood-red wounds on some parts of his body. A dignified Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate is planning to flee without a fight? Chu Bei's eyes were filled with ridicule, and his words were filled with mockery. The Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate did not reply. He only looked at Chu Bei with a more vigilant gaze. Just from the previous collision, he knew that the other party was stronger than him. After Chu Bei spoke, he waved his hand again in the direction of the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. In an instant, fire beads condensed from 5 colored flames appeared in the void around the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. These tens of thousands of fire beads seemed to have a consciousness as they jumped around the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. It made one's heart palpitate for some reason. The Hall of Souls' third heavenly venerate and fifth heavenly venerate immediately formed battle chi armor around their bodies. Even so, they could not avoid the stinging burning sensation. Soul assimilation. Seeing the densely packed fire beads around him, the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate finally moved. He took the initiative to attack Chu Bei. With a wave of his hands, the space around Chu Bei immediately distorted, following which, pitch-black gaps appeared. From the gap, several transparent and slightly viscous white sharp blades shot out, directly cutting towards Chu Bei's body. However, before these sharp white blades could touch Chu Bei's body, the 5 colored fire beads attached to them and burned them into nothingness. Seeing this, the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate's expression became even more solemn. His figure flickered, and he instantly appeared behind Chu Bei. At almost the same time, a 10,000-foot-long soul lock appeared behind him and viciously swung at Chu Bei. This was the soul lock of the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. Just the aura circulating around it made Tang Zhun, Venerable Wind, and the others feel suffocated. Sensing the aura fluctuation behind him, Chu Bei's expression did not change. He did not even turn his head as he swung his right hand behind him. As he swung his arm, the 5 colored fire beads around him seemed to have received an order at the same time. They quickly gathered together like a surging river. Rumble. The 5 colored fire beads that had gathered into a river instantly swallowed the soul lock of the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. In just a moment, the soul lock began to melt at a speed visible to the naked eye. Following this was the miserable and painful cry of the Hall of Souls' great heavenly venerate. Chapter 151. As the river-like 5 colored flames burned the origin soul lock, they quickly spread forward and went down the neck of the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean. Soon, The latter's entire body was swallowed by the 5 colored flames. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean struggled painfully under the 5 colored flames. His expression was extremely distorted. "You can't kill me. I am the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean and also an elder of the Soul Clan. If you kill me, the Patriarch will not let you off." Within the sea of flames, the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean no longer had his initial arrogance. Only fear remained in his eyes as he looked at Chu Bei. Chu Bei ignored the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean and allowed the 5 colored flames to continue burning. Seeing that Chu Bei showed no signs of stopping, the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's expression became sinister. He ignored the 5 colored flames and madly charged at Chu Bei. At the same time, his body began to swell. Self-destructing your soul body? Pointless struggle. Seeing the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's intention, Chu Bei's eyes narrowed and he clenched his right hand. Immediately, the river-like 5 colored flames gathered around the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean. Rumble. It was also at this moment that the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's physical body and soul body exploded at the same time. The sad thing was that the terrifying energy produced by the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's self-destruction was like a dud in the huge 5 colored fireball. Looking at the 5 colored fireball in front of them, the third and fifth Empyreans looked at each other. There was clearly a trace of fear in their eyes. However, before they could escape, the 5 colored fireball burned through the void and instantly arrived before them. They wanted to break through the void, but the void had collapsed. They could only watch as the 5 colored fireball swallowed them. Gradually, the 5 colored fireball dissipated and the battlefield became quiet. The temperature in the air dropped until it returned to normal. Seeing the end of Chu Bei's battle, the Burning Flame Valley disciples were stunned at first. Then, they cheered. As for the Soul Hall experts, when they saw the first Empyrean, third Empyrean, and fifth Empyrean being killed one after another, they clearly became terrified. There was no longer any fighting spirit in their eyes. "Kill everyone from Soul Hall." Tang Zhen's vigorous voice reverberated throughout the entire Burning Flame Valley. Tang Zhen took the lead to attack a Soul Hall protector after his dignified voice sounded. 15 minutes later, all the battlefields in the Burning Flame Valley quietened down. "Boss Chu, thank you." After dealing with all the Soul Race invaders, Tang Zhenfei returned to Chu Bei's side. After thanking him, he said, "Let's begin the transaction." After he finished speaking, Tang Zhen's right arm shook, and a ball of silver flame slowly flew out from his palm. As the flames rose, 9 silver fire dragons could be vaguely seen jumping up and down. These 9 fire dragons seemed to possess intelligence. Some dragon might even spread from them, causing one's spiritual strength to feel a little pressured. Chu Bei looked at the silver flames, nodded in response, and then waved his sleeve. A golden disc with a diameter of 1 meter appeared, emitting a blinding light. At the top of the disc, the words, "Mission Roulette," were engraved. Accompanied by a trembling sound, a black vortex appeared in the center of the golden disc. Within the vortex, a strange black light surged out like a river, quickly engulfing the 9-dragon lightning flame. The 9-dragon lightning flame seemed to have sensed danger, but before it could react, it was dragged into the vortex of the golden disc by the strange black light. Seeing this scene, Tang Zhen's face was filled with reluctance and shock. Boss Chu has another heavenly flame. Even though it was not the first time they had seen Chu Bei subdue a heavenly flame, Xiao Yin, Yao Chun, and the others were still amazed when they saw it again. This method of subduing a heavenly flame was overbearing and direct. The speed was also extremely fast. "I have accepted the 9-dragon lightning flame. It's your turn to spin the roulette." Chu Bei looked at Tang Zhen and explained the rules. Tang Zhen nodded, then placed his right palm on the roulette. The needle spun. Ding! Accompanied by a clear sound, the needle landed on a square box. The square box exploded. Among them was a thumb-sized purple spirit pill and a spirit pill. "This is?" Tang Zhen was curious. Dozun pill and 9 revolution pill. Chu Bei glanced at the 2 pills and said, "The former can help you break through to 9 stars, and the latter can help you become a 9 revolution 9 stars Dozun." Hearing Chu Bei's words, Tang Zhen's face was filled with joy. He carefully received the 2 pills. The deal is not over yet. You can continue to spin. Looking at the roulette that did not disappear, Chu Bei said. Tang Zhan was stunned at first. After he reacted, he quickly placed his palm on the roulette for the second time. The needle spun again. This time, he opened the box to reveal a black pill and a strange red fruit with a spiral on its surface. Boss Chu, what are they? Tang Zhan impatiently asked. The former is called the Saint Revolution pill. Consuming it will help you break through to 1-star doshang. The latter is called the flaming fruit. It is a type of devil fruit. Chu Bei calmly looked at Tang Zhan and pointed at the red spiral fruit. You can learn more about it yourself. As his voice fell, Chu Bei pointed his finger and information about the flaming fruit flowed into Tang Zhan's mind. Half an hour later. Thank you, Boss Chu, for giving me this opportunity. After sorting out the information about the flaming fruit, Tang Zhan was excited. His excited appearance made it seem like he wanted to hug Chu Bei. After realizing that he had lost his composure, Tang Zhan coughed and cautiously received the Saint Revolution pill and the flaming fruit. He was afraid that he would accidentally damage one of them. At first, when he handed over the 9-dragon lightning flame, he was still a little reluctant. However, now that he knew the magical effects of the flaming fruit, his reluctance to part with the 9-dragon lightning flame instantly dissipated. Moreover, he had the Saint Revolution pill. He could directly surpass the semi-saint and become a true Do Sheng. He had made a huge profit from this deal. 9-dragon lightning flame transaction completed. Host has obtained the right to use a level 10 upper product. At this moment, the mission wheel disappeared and the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Valley Master Tang, since the transaction is completed, we won't stay any longer. After bidding farewell to Tang Zhan, Chu Bei and the others returned to the mansion in Tianhuang City. The next day, not long after dawn, Ziyin and He Qing arrived at the All-Heaven shop. This home is still the most comfortable. Ziyin looked around at the familiar surroundings and completely treated this mansion as her own home. You guys are here quite early. Chu Bei glanced at Ziyin. The more he looked at her, the more he felt that she was beautiful. She had such a graceful figure, but she still had the mentality of a child. Boss Chu, is it the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit you mentioned yesterday? He Qing obviously came with a purpose. Level 9 product, 4 million per try. Go and spin it yourself. Chu Bei was concise and took out the level 9 wheel that he had chosen for Ziyin. The Dragon Phoenix origin fruit was among the products on the wheel. He Qing also took out many valuable Dragon Island treasures from his storage ring. In the end, he spun a total of 10 sets, which cost him exactly 400 million, before the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit was spun out. Chu Bei also received 2 million willpower points for this. Reputation is especially important for a successful businessman. Reputation points interface activated. Host's reputation points in Zhongzhou have reached 90. Upon completion, you will receive a reputation gift pack. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Chu Bei was stunned, and then he quickly opened the system interface. Sure enough, there was a submenu called Reputation Points on the system's main interface. After clicking on it, it was an interface similar to a mission announcement column. The first line was, Zhongzhou Reputation Points. Then, there was a number that represented a percentage. For example, Chu Bei's reputation points in Zhongzhou were 61. This meant that 61% of all the people in Zhongzhou, including cultivators and ordinary people, had heard of Chu Bei more or less. Of course, the system's evaluation of reputation points was not only based on people's knowledge of Chu Bei, but also based on everyone's respect for Chu Bei. Behind this number, there was a pattern that looked like a big gift pack. However, the gift pack pattern was gray at this moment. If he wanted to light it up, he had to meet the so-called conditions. In other words, his reputation points in Zhongzhou had to reach 90. Chu Bei thought for a while, and soon an idea came to his mind. Boss Chu, what are you thinking about? We still have to continue spinning the wheel. He Qing's voice brought Chu Bei back to his senses. After obtaining the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit, He Qing spun another 400 million points until Chu Bei's transaction value reached the upper limit. For this, Chu Bei obtained a total of 4 million willpower points. He Qing, I need your ancient dragon clan to do me a favor, Chu Bei said. He Qing was stunned at first, then hurriedly said, Boss Chu, just tell us what you need. We'll do our best. We'll do whatever you ask at all costs. It's not difficult. I just need you to help me spread the news. After all, your clan's talent is the power of space. It'll be faster. Chu Bei looked at He Qing with a smile. When he told the ancient Void Dragon clan what he wanted them to do, not only He Qing, but Zi Yin, Qing Lin, the little doctor, and Xiao Yin also looked shocked. Boss Chu, are you really going to do this? As far as I know, the Hall Master of Soul Hall is at least a 5-star expert. He Qing's eyes were filled with worry. Don't worry about me. You just need to do what I ask of you, Chu Bei continued. He Qing nodded heavily. I'll return to the clan right away and get the Grand Elder to give the order. Void Space, East Dragon Island. What? He wants to bathe the Soul Hall's headquarters in blood. After listening to what He Qing had to say, Qing Shan and Qing Shui revealed astonished expressions. The Soul Hall is just a force on the surface. The Soul Tribe behind him is the most terrifying one. Zhu Li narrowed his eyes and said, he seemed to know something. Grand Elder, then what should we do now? He Qing looked at Qing Shan and waited for his reply. Of course, we'll do as he asks. Furthermore, we must do it perfectly, Qing Shan replied. All right. He Qing nodded heavily. He then gathered all the adult ancient void dragons in the pagoda and told them what to do next. Not long after, several rainbows pierced through the void above East Dragon Island, heading toward the various cities in the central continent, as well as the various major forces. Everyone, please vote. Chapter 152. Middle Ground, Middle Region, Pill City. This was a simple-looking 9-story pagoda. The pagoda had 8 corners, and each corner was formed by 3 intertwining divine dragons. Just looking at it gave off a majestic aura. The unknown metal material could not only release a dazzling light, but it also had bits of blue-green light mixed in. It was like the stars in the night sky. It was very magical. Countless alchemists were sparring around the Pill Pagoda. Rumble. Just as these alchemists were immersed in refining medicine, a loud sound suddenly came from above the Pill Pagoda. Then, a huge crack appeared. Hearing this, the alchemists' hands trembled. Some of them even almost destroyed their spirit pills because of this loud sound. They all looked up. Everyone's expression froze when they saw it. That's the ancient void dragon. What's going on? Why is the overlord of the beast race in Pill City? After recognizing the huge creature above the Pill Pagoda, the alchemists' jaws dropped. They looked at each other in shock. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. More and more figures flew out from the Pill Pagoda. Among them were Xian Kongzi, Xian Yi, and Tian Lazy. May I know why you've come to my Pill Pagoda? Xian Kongzi looked at the ancient void dragon in the sky and frowned. The ancient void dragon turned into a middle-aged man. He first cupped his fists at Xian Kongzi and said, recently, the Soul Hall has been very active. They've hurt many innocent cultivators. They've even destroyed a force many times. Boss Chu has decided that tomorrow morning, he will destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters alone. If you're interested, come to Tianhuang City's Bluestone Plaza before tomorrow morning. The ancient void dragon's loud voice was like rolling thunder. With the Pill Pagoda as the center, it spread far and wide until it covered the entire Pill City. Then, the ancient void dragon broke through space and appeared in another part of Pill City. He kept repeating the same words. What? He's going to destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters alone? Did I hear wrongly? Boss Chu? Could it be that mysterious merchant who's been in the limelight recently and everyone is talking about him? What's his relationship with the ancient void dragon? In an instant, all the big and small forces, tea houses, taverns, and people on the streets began to talk about it. What do you two think? Xian Kongzi glanced at Xian Yi and Tian Lazy. Of course I have to go and take a look, Xian Yi said. If he can really destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters, that would be for the best. Even if he can't, we can still help him. Just as I thought, Tian Lazy said. Burning Flame Valley. Inside the valley, a group of disciples were still busy cleaning up the aftermath of the battle. Upon closer inspection, These disciples' faces were filled with worry. Soul Palace had invaded, and many of their good brothers had died. They were separated by life and death. Rumble. Another loud sound rang out. An ancient void dragon appeared out of thin air. Before the disciples of the burning flame valley could utter a sound of shock, the ancient void dragon had already let out a vigorous voice that reverberated through the entire valley. The contents of its words were practically the same. After saying that, he quickly disappeared. What was that? I think I've seen it in an ancient book. I remember now. It's one of the 3 overlords of the demonic beasts, the ancient void dragon. Did you hear what he had just said? Boss Chu will destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters tomorrow. Looking at the disappearing ancient void dragon, the disciples began to regain their senses. Tang Jin and Elder Qi Hua also flew out of the large hall. They were startled as they looked in the direction where the ancient void dragon had disappeared. The other party's words still lingered in their ears. Valley Chief, this Boss Chu is about to attack the Soul Hall. Elder Qi Hua looked at Tang Jun. Tomorrow morning, gather all the experts above the Do Wang class in the valley and prepare to follow Boss Chu to destroy the Soul Hall, this scourge of the Central Plains. Tang Jun's eyes hardened as he gave the order. Sound Valley. It was a dreamlike fairyland. This place was filled with a dense fairy aura. The mountains were green, the valleys were green, the waterfalls flowed, the red-crowned cranes danced, and the longevity apes jumped happily. The top of each mountain was connected to each other. It was like a poem or a painting, causing one to be intoxicated. Hundreds and thousands of disciples were training in the large open ground. The sudden appearance of an ancient void dragon caused the circulation of the Do Qi within the bodies of the disciples in the open ground to a standstill. The same words drifted within the valley, after which the ancient void dragon disappeared. It had only been a few seconds. Why did I sense a powerful magical beast aura? What happened? Not long after the ancient void dragon left, a white-clothed figure flew out from deep within the valley. Valley Chief, you have exited your retreat so quickly. An elder stepped forward. I was interrupted by that voice, the white-clothed figure said. Hearing this, the elder hurriedly recounted the matter of the ancient void dragon's arrival to the white-clothed figure. Valley Chief, what do you think? After speaking, the elder asked the white-clothed figure. Naturally, we must go. If this Boss Chu is really able to eliminate the Soul Hall, he can be considered the benefactor of the Central Plains. The white-clothed figure focused his eyes as he spoke. 2 hours later, with all the adult dragons on Dragon Island mobilized, ancient void dragons descended from the sky above the various large factions and cities in the Central Plains. Due to the special status of the ancient void dragon in the beast tribe, the various large practitioners even began to guess the relationship between Chu Bei and the other party. As time passed, many experts also began to take action. They headed to the Bluestone Square in Tianhuang City overnight. In an unknown mountain range in the central region, outside the mountain range, the forest was lush and full of vitality. However, deep within the mountain range, the scenery was poles apart from the outside. The forest was withered and lifeless, and the air was filled with an eerie aura. However, at a glance, there was nothing special about the depths of the mountain range. Whoosh! At this moment, a black figure flew over from afar and landed in a certain location. He opened his right hand and placed it above the void. With a piercing sound, a translucent boundary appeared. Within the barrier, there was another scene. It was a vast plain shrouded in black fog. On the plain, many tall buildings stood in an orderly manner. In the center of these buildings, there was an exceptionally majestic hall. The black fog surrounding it was much stronger than the other buildings. As the black fog surged, it gave off an eerie and terrifying feeling. At this moment, teams of figures with powerful auras were constantly patrolling the periphery of the vast plain. As for the black figure that had just entered from the outside world, he flew straight to the hall in the center. As the hall chief come out of his retreat, the black figure immediately inquired the others in the hall the moment he arrived. At a glance, there were over 50 people in the hall. The weakest among them was a 2-star Dozun. Any one of these Dozuns could establish a top-tier faction in the Central Plains. The Hall Chief and Deputy Hall Chief are still in a retreat. The Hall of Souls' honorable elders in the hall frowned when they heard the black figure's question. Did something happen outside? The black figure had a grave expression. He paused for a moment before telling them about the shattering of the first Tianzuan, third Tianzuan, and fifth Tianzuan soul jades, the ancient void dragon, and Chu Bei's plan to destroy the Hall of Souls headquarters tomorrow. The first Tianzuan and the other two have been killed. Was it done by that so-called boss Chu? If that is the case, won't his cultivation be at least a 3-star dosheng? Why is it that our Hall of Souls intelligence network does not have any information about him? Could it be that he is a member of the remaining 7 clans? No matter what his background is, I want to see how he will massacre our Hall of Souls tomorrow. What I don't understand is that the ancient void dragon has always hated humans. Why would they pass on information for this fellow? Currently, all the large factions in the Central Plains are aware of this. It is likely that many old faces will arrive tomorrow. This is just as well. It saves us the trouble of defeating them one by one. The Hall of Souls' honorable elders in the hall revealed ferocious expressions. Central Plains, Gu Realm. Unlike the headquarters of the Hall of Souls, this Gu Realm was truly a separate world. It was so large that it left one speechless. At this moment, a purple-clothed young lady was happily walking on a quiet mountain path. "Father, I am back." The purple-clothed young lady paused her footsteps. Her face was filled with joy as she waved her hand at the end of the path. A figure stood with his hands behind his back at the end of the mountain path. Looking from a distance, he gave off a contradictory feeling. He was clearly standing there, but he also felt that they were tens of thousands of kilometers apart. "Why have you thought of returning? Do you not want your Xiao Yin Ji?" A voice that contained some jealousy exploded in the sky like thunder. However, it was not difficult to hear the joy in the voice because of the young lady's return. The next moment, the figure at the end of the mountain path had already appeared in front of the purple-clothed young lady. Fog lingered around the man's body. At first glance, he appeared like an ordinary middle-aged man. He was wearing simple linen clothes, and a doting smile hung on his face. He gave off a feeling that he was easy to get along with. However, if an elite Do Zun or even an ordinary elite Do Sheng were present, they would discover that they would feel an unknown pressure when facing this middle-aged man. Gu Yuan, the clan leader of the Gu clan, one of the 8 clans on the continent. He was an advanced 9 stars Do Sheng, an expert who truly stood at the peak of the Do Chi continent. "Father, you have been teasing me since I have returned." Xiao Suner glared at Gu Yuan. "Have you returned to quickly raise your strength?" Gu Yuan smiled as he looked at Xiao Suner. It was as though he had seen through the purpose of Xiao Suner's return. Xiao Suner was stunned as she looked at Gu Yuan. Her mouth was wide open. "Father, how did you know? Your brother Xiao Yin has met a benefactor. His cultivation has already stepped into the Do Huang class. You, on the other hand, are merely a Doling. In order to follow in his footsteps, you will naturally need to quickly raise your strength." The corner of Gu Yuan's mouth was lifted into a smile. "Father, you already know." Xiao Suner was surprised. "I also know that the person who gave Xiao Yin the opportunity is going to flatten the headquarters of the Hall of Souls tomorrow." Gu Yuan adjusted the corner of his clothes and added in a faint voice, "What? Boss Chu wants to go against the Hall of Souls. Has he gone crazy? The Hall of Souls does not lack elite doshengs." Xiao Suner's expression changed when she heard Gu Yuan's words. She was not worried about Chu Bei. Instead, she was worried about her brother Xiao Yin. She knew that Xiao Yin had also gone to the central region to look for Chu Bei. If Chu Bei were to die, it would have nothing to do with her. However, if Xiao Yin was also implicated. No. Thinking of this, Xiao Suner looked at Gu Yuan and hurriedly begged, "Father, I beg you to arrange for an elder in the clan to protect brother Xiao Yin. I am afraid that something will happen to him if he stays by Boss Chu's side." "Girl, your understanding of Boss Chu is still too little. Even in my clan, I'm afraid that there are very few people who are stronger than him." Gu Yuan patted Xiao Suner's head. "Father, what do you mean by this? Has Boss Chu become so strong?" Xiao Suner did not know much about the recent events in the central region. Her understanding of Chu Bei was still at the level of being able to kill the Hall of Souls protector. The Hall of Souls' first Tianzuan and second Tianzuan have both died in his hands, Gu Yuan said calmly. Chapter 153. What? He killed the great heavenly venerate of the Hall of Souls. Xiao Suner had a look of disbelief. Doesn't that mean that he is also an elite Dosheng? Gu Yuan nodded and said, he should be a veteran Dosheng. Father, did you know him in the past? Could he be an elder from the other clans? Xiao Suner's eyes flickered as she guessed. Gu Yuan shook his head. There is no such person in our clan's information. Father, no matter what, Boss Chu is going to the headquarters of the Hall of Souls. Brother Xiao Yin will definitely follow him. Xiao Suner stepped forward and pulled Gu Yuan's arm, shaking it. Father, just arrange for an elder from the clan to go and take a look. It has already been arranged. Gu Yuan glanced at Xiao Suner and said, moreover, it is not just us. There should be people from the other clans present as well. After all, they are all very curious about the background of this merchant who has appeared out of nowhere. Tianhuang City, All Heaven Shop. Boss Chu, the news of you flattening the headquarters of the Hall of Souls tomorrow has already spread like wildfire in the Central Plains. Venerable Wind looked at Chu Bei and said. After he finished speaking, he observed Chu Bei's expression as if he wanted to see something. What about the movements of the various factions? Chu Bei sipped the tea in his hand as he lifted his eyes and glanced at Venerable Wind. The experts from the Pill Tower and the Burning Flame Valley are heading straight for Tianhuang City. They should be prepared to go with us. As for the other factions, most of them are heading towards the mountain range where the headquarters of the Hall of Souls is located. Venerable Wind summarized the information that Xingyun Gu had gathered and said, the factions heading straight for the headquarters of the Hall of Souls should be hiding in the dark and observing. From what I see, they are worried that you are not a match for the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls and do not dare to travel with you. They are afraid of getting into trouble. It doesn't matter, as long as everyone in Central Continent knows about this. Chu Bei put down the tea in his hand and said softly, with the 4 million power of will he obtained from the ancient Void Dragon clan and the 1.3 million power of will he had left behind, Chu Bei successfully exchanged for another star of cultivation. Currently, with his 3-star Doshang cultivation and the 6 types of heavenly flames that he had merged, he was confident that he could fight against a 5-star Doshang even without relying on the system. The next day, in a nameless mountain range not far from the central region. Normally, this mountain range was rarely visited by people. Today, however, the flow of people in this mountain range had reached a rather terrifying level. Looking down from the sky, one could see that every mountaintop, mountainside, and foot of the mountain was packed with people. Perhaps it was because they were afraid of the Hall of Souls, but most of these factions only dared to occupy the outskirts of the mountain range. Only a few of the stronger factions dared to occupy the depths of the mountain range. The magical beasts that originally lived in this mountain range might have sensed the unusually somber atmosphere and hurriedly moved away. Do you think Soul Palace's headquarters is really here? There's clearly nothing here. Even the location of a branch hall of the Hall of Souls is so difficult to find. Do you think that the headquarters will easily allow you to see it? You don't say. The depths of this mountain range are really a little strange. The outskirts are clearly filled with lush greenery, but the inner area is completely devoid of life. If I have guessed correctly, the Hall of Souls should have opened up a new realm deep within the mountain range. However, it is blocked by a boundary and we are unable to see it. There were many discussions on the various mountaintops, causing an uproar. Teacher, why don't we head to Tianhuang City and meet up with Boss Chu? On a mountaintop in the inner area of the mountain range, Yun looked at the beautiful white-clothed woman beside her and asked, haven't you seen the Wind Thunder Pavilion, Huangquan Pavilion, Ice River Valley, Wanjian Pavilion, Sound Valley, Profound Sky Sect? They have all come here directly? The beautiful white-clothed woman extended her hand and pointed at some of the mountaintops. Why is that? Yun frowned slightly. The news that the ancient Void Dragon has spread is that Boss Chu will flatten the headquarters of the Hall of Souls by himself. If he can really do it, that would be the best. At this point, The beautiful white-clothed woman's eyes focused and she said in a deep voice, "However, if he is killed by the Hall of Souls Hall Master or other experts of the Hall of Souls, the factions that travel with him will naturally not be able to avoid the revenge of the Hall of Souls. As for those of us who came here alone and stayed far away, we will at most be able to watch the show." "I see." Hearing the beautiful woman's words, Yun Yun's expression changed. Clearly, the Wind Thunder Pavilion, Ice River Valley, and other factions had the same thoughts as the beautiful white-clothed woman. Will Boss Chu really come? He will. He will definitely come. After all, this is the news that the ancient Void Dragon personally sent. That is the overlord of the magical beasts. It is impossible for such a large-scale announcement to be fake. Do you think that Boss Chu can flatten the Hall of Souls? The Hall of Souls' recent actions are inhumane and inhumane. Of course, I hope that Boss Chu can eliminate this scourge. However, it is said that the Hall of Souls Hall Master's cultivation has reached a shocking level, so the final result is hard to say. With the flow of time, the number of human figures in this mountain range increased. The discussion also became increasingly intense. The topic was all about Chu Bei's massacre of the Hall of Souls. At the same time, a large group of figures had gathered above the green stone square in Tianhuang City. The Pill Tower side was led by Xian Kong Zi, Xian Yi, and Tian Lei Zi. There were over 100 people. The weakest among them was a Do Zong. The Xingyun Ji side was led by Yao Chun and Venerable Wind. There were also over 100 people. However, their overall strength was a little weaker than the Pill Tower. The weakest among them was a Do Huang. The Burning Flame Valley side was led by Tang Zhen. They had the largest number of people. All the experts above the Do Wang class had been dispatched. Other than this, there was another faction. It was a dozen adult ancient void dragons. All of them were elite Do Zuns. "Boss, can we set off?" Zi Yin was at the front of the ancient void dragon army. She was ready to move. "Yes." Chu Bei nodded. He rose into the air and took the lead to fly toward the mountain range where the Hall of Souls headquarters was located. On the other side, within a barrier deep within the nameless mountain range, nearly 50 figures were seated in a large hall in the middle of the Hall of Souls headquarters. Each of them emitted a powerful aura. Other than the 24 Evil Hall Right envoys, there were also Tianzins from the Hall of Souls. It could be said that over 80% of the top experts from the Hall of Souls were gathered here. There was still no one seated in the leader's seat. However, a hunchbacked old man with white hair was seated beside it. The old man gave off a mighty aura without being angry. Clearly, he had been in a high position for a long time. "Deputy Hall Chief, when will the Hall Chief exit his retreat?" A Tianzuan in the hall looked at the hunchbacked old man and inquired, "The Hall Chief is at a critical moment when he is about to break through. Allow me to meet this fellow who dares to declare that he will destroy my Hall of Souls." The hunchbacked old man narrowed his eyes. His eyes were cold. After his cold voice sounded, he looked at a right envoy of the evil hall and said, "It is very lively outside. How is the preparation of the 10,000 elephant soul locking formation?" "It has already been prepared. Once it is activated, none of them will be able to leave." The right envoy of the evil hall was extremely confident. "Since that is the case, let's remove part of the barrier first. With so many guests here, as the host, how can we not show our faces?" The hunchbacked old man looked outside the hall and sneered. At the same time, in the inner region of the nameless mountain range, say, Boss Chu has already declared that he will flatten the Hall of Souls. Why is there no movement from the Hall of Souls? Just as the leader of one of the forces finished speaking, the entire mountain range shook violently. Immediately after, a translucent barrier appeared in the middle of the mountain range, where there was no life at all. Then, under countless shocked gazes, a majestic hall slowly appeared. Crack! After the hall appeared, the barrier around it shattered at the same time. Quick look! Could that be the headquarters of the Hall of Souls? In an instant, countless gazes from the inner region gathered on the hall, which was shrouded in a strange black fog. Hearing the commotion, some of the factions and experts in the outer region could not suppress their curiosity and continued to approach the inner region. After the hall appeared, several luxurious and exquisite chairs appeared out of thin air in front of the hall. They have come out. Lay the Venerable looked at the front of the hall, where the energy fluctuation had appeared. His eyes hardened. Just as his voice fell, the void in front of the hall suddenly distorted rapidly. Immediately, a spatial crack slowly formed in front of countless pairs of eyes from the various large mountains. Sizzle, sizzle. Dark, cold, black fog surged out of the crack in all directions the moment it was formed. A sharp sound was vaguely emitted from it, causing the experts from various factions to knit their brows upon hearing it. The black fog churned intensely as three figures appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The auras of the three figures were vast and majestic. Even though they were a great distance away, they still caused one to feel terrified. This aura fluctuation, doshongs. They are all doshongs. They are indeed worthy of being the overlord of the Central Plains. Even though the first Tianzuan and second Tianzuan have died, there are still three doshongs. It is unexpected that the strength of the Hall of Souls has reached such a frightening level. Could the old man in the middle be the chief of the Hall of Souls? When the three figures appeared, the expressions of the surrounding experts, including Thunder Zunja, Sword Zunja, and the Valley Master of the Ice River Valley, all changed. Their gazes were fixed on the hunchbacked old man in the middle. A couple of black figures appeared from the crack in front of the hall amid the intense discussion. They landed behind the three figures one after another. All of them were elite dozuns. When the 50 figures all sat down on the exquisite chairs, the temperature of the entire nameless mountain range became much colder. Even the sunlight that poured down from the sky made people feel a little chilly. The one tower, 2 sects, 3 valleys, and 4 pavilions, with the exception of the Pill Tower and the Burning Flame Valley, have all arrived. As the deputy chief of the Hall of Souls, the old me feels extremely honored. The hunchbacked old man's eyes swept over the mountains while he laughed out loud. A powerful voice that contained Do Chi drifted over the entire mountain range. Are all of you so anxious to destroy my Hall of Souls? The voice of the hunchbacked old man suddenly became low and deep after his laughter sounded. A dense killing intent covered the entire inner area. Deputy Chief, I'm afraid that you are mistaken. We have no intention of becoming enemies with the Hall of Souls during this trip. We will also not help that boss Chu. The leader of a faction hurriedly opened his mouth when he saw the eyes of the hunchbacked old man that were cold in the forest. Haha, all of you are really scheming. The hunchbacked old man looked in the direction of the Ice River Valley, the Sound Valley, the Flower Sect, and the other top factions. His eyes contained disdain. At the very least, these factions of yours are far inferior to the Pill Tower and the Burning Flame Valley in terms of courage. The expressions of the Valley Chief of the Ice River Valley, the Chief of the Flower Sect, Lay the Venerable, and the others became much uglier when they heard the words of the hunchbacked old man. Do all of you really hope that my Hall of Souls will be flattened by that so-called boss Chu? The hunchbacked old man suddenly stood up. His cold laughter drifted over the entire mountain range. Just him alone is not qualified. At the end of the day, I still have to thank him. Otherwise, why would all of you gather here? How would my Hall of Souls obtain so many outstanding soul resources? A deep and vigorous voice rang out. Before the experts of the various factions in the mountain range could react, the hunchbacked old man and the honorable elder of the Hall of Souls behind him quickly formed hand seals with their hands. After the two palms spewed out black light beams, they directly struck toward the distant void. Buzz, buzz, buzz. In an instant, a soul-stirring buzz spread to every corner of the mountain range. In the next moment, the void exploded. Under the horrified gazes of countless experts from various factions, huge black pillars with a diameter of hundreds of meters rose from the ground in the 8 outermost corners of the nameless mountain range. Every huge pillar was surrounded by a sinister and terrifying black gas. Just looking at it would make one's soul feel like it was about to be taken away. Subsequently, pitch-black chains spread out from the 8 huge black pillars. Tens of thousands of pitch-black chains intertwined and collided in the sky above the mountain range. The clear clanging sounds were like demonic sounds from hell, striking the souls of everyone present. In a short moment, these pitch-black chains formed a huge chain net that sealed off the entire nameless mountain range. Even the gaps between the intersecting chains were covered by a black light film. It could be said that it was airtight. What is the meaning of this? We are only here to watch from the sidelines, yet you do this. Aren't you afraid that we will follow Boss Chu and attack all of you? A white-robed, middle-aged man flew out from the top of a mountain and glared angrily at the hunchbacked old man. A mere 9-star Do Zong actually dares to be so arrogant in front of me. Is the headquarters of the Hall of Souls a place where you can come and go as you please? The hunchbacked old man glanced at the white-robed, middle-aged man with disdain. After his dense, cold voice sounded, he waved his right hand, and a thick chain fell from the chain net above the mountain range. In an instant, it pierced through the middle-aged man's chest, after which the black gas on the chain surged. The white-robed, middle-aged man did not even have the time to let out a miserable shriek before his soul was pulled away by the thick chain, after which he was tied to the chain net above. Damn it! I really did not expect that the Hall of Souls would attack us. Plans are indeed not as fast as changes. This Hall of Souls simply does not place us in their eyes. They are not the least bit afraid that we will attack and help Boss Chu. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have gone to Tianhuang City to meet up with Boss Chu. After witnessing the death of the white-robed middle-aged man, the experts from various factions revealed some regret on their faces as they looked at the chain great array in the distant sky. They thought that they had planned everything out well. Unexpectedly, the Hall of Souls did not play by the rules. The expressions of Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, the Flower Sect leader, and the others became even uglier. Chapter 154. The situation is not right. Withdraw first. The gazes of countless experts within the mountain range were thrown towards the spiritual bodies that were tied to the metal chain net. Fear began to surface in their eyes. A moment later, a couple of long rays of light shot past each mountain. However, when they were less than 10 meters from the metal chain net, a frightening black glow suddenly erupted from the metal chain net. The frightening energy shook them until they flew backwards. Even elite Dozuns only discovered that the space of this mountain range had been sealed by the energy of the metal chain net after attempting to use a short-distance spatial displacement. Why is it like this? The last time we were in the ancient remains, we managed to escape with great difficulty. Now, we are once again in such a dangerous situation. Damn it, the more one fears death, the easier it is to be placed in a dangerous situation. If we had known earlier, we would have learned from the burning flame valley and followed behind Boss Chu. We should not have come to join in the fun. Now, we might even lose our lives here. Don't worry. As long as Boss Chu arrives, we will still have a chance to escape. I am only afraid that the Hall of Souls will strip our spiritual bodies before Boss Chu arrives. On the various large mountains, it was not only the experts from the ordinary factions who had become panicked. The Ice River Valley, the Flower Sect, the Profound Sky Sect, the Wind Thunder Pavilion, and the other top factions within the Central Plains clearly revealed a terrified expression on their faces. Deputy Hall Chief, I am curious about something. Why is your Hall of Souls gathering so many powerful spiritual bodies? The chief of the Flower Sect looked at the hunchbacked old man. When this question was asked, Lei the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley, and everyone else present looked at the hunchbacked old man. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. Forget it. In any case, all of you are about to die. Since this is the case, there is no harm in telling all of you. The hunchbacked old man's eyes glanced indifferently at the chief of the Flower Sect, Lei the Venerable, and the others. He said, all of this is for the legendary realm. The legendary realm? Don't tell me that it refers to the Do D class. Everyone present revealed stunned faces when they heard this. However, all of you will not be able to wait until the time when my clan's Do D appears. The hunchbacked old man spoke again and said, but you don't have to be afraid now. Before I strip your souls, I'll let you see with your own eyes how Boss Chu dies at my hands. At the same time, not far from the mountain range, Chu Bei and the army behind him stopped in the void. Boss Chu, Soul Palace seems to have made a move. Venerable Wind pointed at the chain formation that covered the entire mountain range and furrowed his brows. Those fellows probably never thought that not only did their wishful thinking fail, but they even put themselves in a dangerous situation. Tangjin let out a cold laugh. Boss, are we going to break the formation now? Ziyin looked at Chu Bei and asked. There's no rush. Chu Bei's lips curled into a smile. Let's wait and see first. The reason he wanted to flatten Soul Palace wasn't to benefit Central State, but to open the prestige gift bag. Since it was reputation points, it would be best for him to appear when everyone needed him the most. Wait and see. Confusion appeared on the faces of Ziyin, Xiankong Zi, Xiao Yin and the others when they heard Chu Bei's reply. However, seeing that the other party had no intention of breaking the formation, they could only quietly watch together. With the passage of time, an hour quietly passed. At this moment, the experts from the various large factions in the mountain range were incomparably anxious. The Soul Palace honorable elders in front of the hall also showed some irritation on their faces as they frowned. Is that fellow who threatened to destroy my Soul Palace coming or not? Could it be that the ancient Void Dragon clan is tricking us? Black chi surged out from the body of a Soul Palace honorable elder as killing intent faintly spread. The ancient Void Dragon is the overlord of the beast race. They won't do such a meaningless thing. Don't be anxious. Wait a little longer. The hunchbacked old man sat on a chair and spoke with half-closed eyes. Time flowed like water, and another 2 hours passed. It's been almost 4 hours. Why hasn't Boss Chu appeared yet? Could it be that he is afraid of the Hall Master of Soul Palace and changed his mind at the last moment? Do you guys think that this is a trap? Now that I think about it, the ancient Void Dragon is a beast race. They have never interacted with humans. Why would they move out on such a large scale for this information? Could it be that they are aware of the recent actions of the Soul Palace and have gathered information regarding Boss Chu? Thus, they purposely spread the news in the name of Boss Chu to trick us into coming here so that the Soul Palace can kill us? From what you have said, it seems that this is possible. In this way, they can use the Soul Palace to wantonly weaken the strength of our human race. If this is really the case, I will not let those despicable evil dragons off even if I become a ghost. More and more experts began to become restless, especially when they looked at the chain formation above. The fear on their faces became even greater. Vice Hall Master, should we continue to wait? An honorable elder respectfully asked the hunchbacked old man. Forget it. Since they don't dare to come, let's get rid of these fellows first. The hunchbacked old man opened his eyes and glanced at Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others again. They have helped us greatly. Otherwise, it would have taken us some effort to obtain so many excellent souls. After speaking, the hunchbacked old man stretched his body. Clearly, he had waited for too long and could not sit still. Attack! When the hunchbacked old man's cold voice sounded, all of the Soul Palace's upper echelons on the chairs, including him, shot into the sky at the same time. In the next moment, these figures intersected with each other until they each took a position. Large amounts of black gas began to surge out of their bodies. Clang clang amidst the frightening sound of metal rubbing against each other. A pitch-black chain appeared behind these figures at the same time and connected to the huge chain net above. Soon, the chain net that enveloped the entire mountain range began to tremble and sway. In an instant, a series of ear-piercing screeches spread out, following which, this enormous chain net appeared to have become a living thing in front of a countless number of horrified gazes. It multiplied endlessly. The number grew from 10 to 100, then from 100 to 1,000, and finally to tens of thousands. An uncountable number of dark black chains fell from the sky and covered every corner of the mountain range. The continuous sound of intertwining collisions was like a group of demons dancing wildly, causing one's heart to palpitate. Seeing this scene, even people as strong as Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the Valley Chief of the Ice River Valley became extremely uneasy. Their frowns became increasingly deep. They had experienced the Hall of Souls formation once when they were in the ancient remains. However, the formation back then did not have any effect on them, elite Dozuns. However, this large chain formation, which was formed by 3 doshangs and dozens of elite dozuns, caused them to feel a sense of danger. No, don't. The first chain that fell swiftly wrapped around the head of a 7-star dozong amidst the terrified cries. Within a couple of breaths, it had successfully hooked his soul out. After which, his soul was tied to the chain net above, just like the 9-star dozong from earlier. Before everyone could recover from their shock, another miserable cry was emitted, following which a third cry, a fourth cry, until various miserable cries spread through the air. Experts with the cultivation of the dozun class could still entangle with the soul hooking chains for a while under the precondition that they were prepared. As for those experts below the dozun class, even 9-star dozongs did not have any ability to resist in front of the soul hooking chains. If this continues, our strength will sooner or later be exhausted. That's right. Even if we die, we must drag them down with us. The experts above the dozun class in the inner area of the mountain range swiftly communicated with their eyes. After which, with Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others in the lead, they pounced toward the Hall of Souls' honorable elders in the sky. A pointless struggle. The hunchbacked old man glanced at Lei the Venerable's group with disdain, after which, he turned his head to look at the couple of honorable elders beside him. His eyes indicated for them to intercept and kill Lei the Venerable's group. They continued to control the 1,000-elephant soul-locking formation, 9 sections of the soul chain. After receiving the hunchbacked old man's order, a portion of the honorable elders immediately went to meet Lei the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley, and the others. Rumble. A huge battlefield appeared in the distant sky amidst a series of collisions and explosions. However, due to the support of the 1,000-elephant soul-locking formation, the Hall of Souls' honorable elders clearly possessed an overwhelming advantage in a battle of the same level. The many deep-colored chains in their hands had become powerful killing weapons. Lei the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley, the Flower Sect chief, and the others were forced to retreat. The battle situation was becoming increasingly dangerous. Don't tell me that we are really going to die here today? How hateful. To think that I've calculated everything, but in the end, I've fallen for this little trick that I thought I had. This is ultimately a world where the strong prey on the weak. I, the leader of a faction, have actually ended up in such a miserable state. What ridicule! Who would have expected that our final destination would be to become someone else's stepping stone to the Do-D class? If we had headed to Tianhuang City first, we would not have ended up in this situation. Within the mountain range, the experts from the various factions dodged the soul-attracting chains while uttering regretful words. Your Hall of Souls actions have become enemies with all the factions in the Central Plains. There will come a day when you will disappear from the continent. Lei the Venerable's expression was gloomy to the extreme as he watched an increasing number of Wind Thunder Pavilion's elders having their souls extracted. Before that day arrives, our Hall of Souls will have already ruled the entire continent. A Hall of Souls honorable elder let out a cold laugh. Gradually, the miserable cries and terrified screams on the battlefield began to calm down. The number of souls on the chain net in the sky increased. Each of them were like newborn silkworms. Reel in the net. The crooked old man lifted the corner of his mouth and revealed a sinister smile as he watched the remaining dozuns struggling below. His cry had just sounded when all the experts controlling the large formation, including him, pressed their hands down at the same time. Immediately, one could see the large chain formation that covered the entire mountain range begin to sway and shake. It emitted a strange buzzing sound. Almost at the same time, the many silkworm-like souls began to struggle and twist in pain. It was as though they were suffering from unbearable torture. However, just as the tens of thousands of souls were about to be swallowed by the large formation, a wave of high temperature suddenly attacked. Chapter 155. Rumble Rumble. Suddenly, an unusual change occurred outside of the large chain formation. A river formed from 6 different colors flowed above the large formation. What is going on? Such an unusual phenomenon has never occurred since the Hall of Souls took root in this mountain range. Flame. That is a flame formed from 6 different colors. This aura is formed from the merger of 6 different types of heavenly flames. In the sky, the experts from the Hall of Souls, including the hunchbacked old man, were initially stunned when they saw the unusual change above them. They frowned when they sensed the aura of the 6 different types of heavenly flames. He is here. On the other hand, lay the venerable, sword venerable, and the others revealed joyous expressions when they saw the river formed from 6 different types of heavenly flames above their heads. The sudden appearance of the river of flames caused the few remaining battlefields in the sky to enter a temporary halt. Regardless of whether it was the leaders of the top factions bitterly holding on, the Hall of Souls' right envoy, or the Tianzuan, all of them lifted their heads in unison. Hall Chief, the 1,000-elephant soul-locking formation seems to have lost its effect. A Hall of Souls Zun Elder seemed to have sensed something. His expression became ugly. Ever since the 6-colored river of flames appeared above them, they had lost control of the chain formation that had shrunk in an instant. The process of swallowing the souls that had begun naturally stopped. The tens of thousands of souls also stopped struggling. Their expressions had become relaxed. All of them even began to sway toward the 6-colored river of flames above them, as though they were asking for help. The hunchbacked old man did not reply. He only frowned and watched the distant sky with a grave expression. He had sensed a frightening aura from the 6-colored flames that caused him to feel uneasy. The 6-colored river of flames began to churn in front of everyone's shocked eyes. Soon after, 2 enormous fire palms were extended from it. These 2 giant palms were also formed by 6 different colored flames. What is it trying to do? The experts from the Hall of Souls frowned as they watched the 2 enormous fire palms extend from the river above them. Chi. The speed at which the enormous palms were extended was extremely quick. In an instant, they landed on the chain net that covered the entire mountain range. In the next moment, the 2 large hands crossed each other. They appeared like they were tearing apart cotton as they forcefully tore apart the incomparably hard chain that the elite Do Zun was helpless against. The 2 flaming palms did not disappear after tearing apart the net of chains. Instead, they were raised and slammed down again. With this slap, the tens of thousands of bound souls were quickly freed from the net of chains by a terrifying force, and they flew toward the hollow bodies below. Then, the 2 flaming palms clung onto the chain net. The shredded chain net was ignited like straw and quickly disappeared under the 6-colored flames. It's alive. If it wasn't for those 2 flaming palms, I'm afraid my soul would have been destroyed. This feeling is like walking through the gates of hell. I really don't want to experience it again. After the souls of tens of thousands of powerhouses returned to their physical bodies, their expressions froze for a moment before their empty eyes regained their luster and were no longer cloudy. After rejoicing, the tens of thousands of powerhouses raised their heads to look at the 2 flaming palms in the sky. Their fearful expressions were filled with gratitude. Deputy Hall Chief, the 10,000 elephant soul-locking formation has been destroyed. Those elite souls have once again returned to their physical bodies. The Hall of Souls Tianzuan's expressions were unusually ugly as they watched the souls of the powerhouses below recombine with their physical bodies. Since you have already come, why are you still hiding? The hunchbacked old man coldly stared at the 6-colored flame river in the sky that was emitting a high temperature. A cold snort sounded, and a majestic black chi surged out of his body. His aura suddenly soared at this moment. Dark clouds surfaced under the 6-colored flame river just as the hunchbacked old man's cry sounded, following which a deafening roar of thunder appeared. Numerous thick, lightning bolts flickered repeatedly with the sound of electric currents. A dragon roar sounded, and an enormous black figure emerged from a gap that was densely covered by lightning from the churning dark clouds. Ancient Void Dragon, a Hall of Souls Zun Elder exclaimed when he recognized the enormous black figure. His voice contained some surprise. It's here. It's finally here. Ancient void dragons flew out one after another from the gap in front of the shocked eyes of a countless number of people present. Within a short couple of seconds, the distant sky was filled with dozens of adult ancient void dragons. These ancient void dragons lingered in the air and blotted out the sun. A large area of black light completely isolated the light in the sky above the large hall. An orderly dragon roar drifted through the empty space. A supreme dragon might spread. Even someone as strong as a Dozong felt an inexplicable fear rise in his heart when he was stacked on top of each other. Those weaker Do Huangs and Do Wongs felt their blood churn, and they could not stand steadily. Why are there so many of them? The expressions of the experts from the Hall of Souls became increasingly grave as they looked at the dozens of ancient void dragons above. Before the people below could recover from the shock of seeing the ancient void dragon, several more figures walked out of the pitch-black spatial rift. That is Elder Xin Kongzi from the Pill Tower. There is also Xianyi and Tianlei Zi. The three great heads of the Pill Tower have all come. Valley Chief Tang from the Burning Flame Valley and Venerable Feng from Xingyungu have also come. Haha, if that's the case, the news spread by these ancient void dragons is true. Where is Boss Chu? Why have I not seen him yet? The experts below revealed excited faces as they watched the experts from the Pill Tower, Burning Flame Valley, and Xingyungu walk out of the gap. At the same time, they turned their heads and looked around to search for Chu Bei's figure. Brother Lei, I did not expect all of you to be so afraid of the Hall of Souls. Tang Jin looked in the direction of Lei the Venerable and mocked. However, it seems that the direction of this matter is different from what you have imagined. If Boss Chu had not intervened, it is likely that all of you would have fallen into the hands of the Hall of Souls. Lei the Venerable did not respond when he met Tang Zhan's mocking gaze. It was not only him. Sword Venerable, Venerable Acheron, Ice River Valley's Valley Master, and the others all had a look of shame on their faces. The truth was as such. In the previous battle, they had all been seriously injured. If not for the two flaming palms tearing apart the formation, it would not have been long before they would have become bound soul bodies. After the experts from the Burning Flame Valley, another 6 figures walked out of the gap. On the far right was an old man, and beside the old man was a young man. On the left were 3 devastatingly beautiful women. The one in the middle was a young man in his 20s. The young man was wearing an azure long robe. Although he was not the kind of unforgettable handsome, his facial features were as distinct as if they were carved. His angular face could barely be considered a handsome man. Under his sword-like eyebrows, his long and narrow eyes were like gurgling spring water, giving people a sense of unrestrained straightforwardness. Judging from the position of the 6 people, the other 5 were clearly led by the young man. Look, Boss Chu has come out. He is indeed the one who saved us. Seeing Chu Bei arrive, the expressions of the countless experts in the mountain range were excited. Their excitement was evident in their words. You are the one who repeatedly obstructed the plans of my soul hall, and even threatened to flatten my soul hall? The hunchbacked old man looked at Chu Bei expressionlessly. Cold in the forest's voice was filled with killing intent. Facing the hunchbacked old man's gaze, Chu Bei did not reply. Instead, he focused his eyes and looked at the surrounding calm space. You can be considered to be standing at the peak of the continent. Isn't it a little unreasonable to hide in the dark like this? Since you are all here, why don't you all come out and show your faces? Chu Bei's voice was indifferent. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the hunchbacked old man and the other honorable elders of Soul Hall were first stunned. Then, they hurriedly extended their soul perception to the maximum. Indeed, under their deliberate investigation, they detected the faintly discernible energy ripples in the surrounding space. What does Boss Chu mean? Could it be that there are other factions hiding around? What does he mean by standing at the peak of the continent? Could it be that there are even more terrifying factions above the one hall and one pagoda? Just as the experts in the mountain range were puzzled, circles of spatial ripples appeared in different directions in the space. Then, in front of everyone's eyes, 3 to 5 people walked out of these spatial ripples. Ancient Clan, Yin Clan, Yao Clan, Shi Clan, Ling Clan, Lei Clan. The hunchbacked old man's gaze swept across the 6 figures that appeared out of thin air. After speaking of the factions behind these figures, he frowned. people from the ancient races. Looking at the experts above, the Valley Master of the Ice River Valley, the Sect Master of the Flower Sect, Lay the Venerable, and the other leaders of the top factions were filled with shock. Ancient races? What is that? On the surface, the one hall, one pagoda, two sects, three valleys, and the square pavilion are the strongest factions in the continent. In reality, this is not the case. The ancient races are far more powerful than them. However, they live in a small world that they have opened up. They are extremely low-key and do not interact with the outside world. The ancient races refer to the 8 races that have given birth to elite Dodi in the ancient times and possess the Dodi bloodline. In the mountain range, while some experts were puzzled by the 8 ancient races, there were also experts who answered their questions. I really did not expect that even you have been alerted. The hunchbacked old man narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice, "Haha, we have only heard the news and are here to join in the fun. Just treat it as if we do not exist between you." A red-haired old man from the Yin clan stood in the air and said with a smile. Blue-purple flames danced around his body as he moved. As his voice fell, the red-haired old man looked at Chu Bei. "It is really hard to imagine that you alone possess 6 types of heavenly flames. This is more than the total number of heavenly flames that my clan has. I am also very interested in your heavenly flame." Chu Bei sized up the red-haired old man and said with a smile. Judging from the aura of the blue-purple flames on the surface of the old man's body, it was clearly a type of heavenly flame. If the system had issued a mission to snatch the heavenly flame, he would have snatched the other party's heavenly flame without hesitation. "Yao Chun, it has been a long time. You have disappeared for dozens of years. Everyone in the clan thought that you were dead. It is unexpected that you are still alive." An expert from the Yao clan looked at Yao Chun and said. Hearing the words of the expert from the Yao clan, Xiao Yin immediately looked at Yao Chun. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Chapter 156. Although I was born in the Yao clan, I have nothing to do with it. Yao Chun opened his mouth and said after sensing the gazes of Xiao Yin, Little Doctor, and the rest. "I will explain the reason behind this when I have the time." "Yao Chun, I am talking to you. Did you not hear me?" The expression of the old man from the Yao clan became ugly when he saw that he had been ignored. "Ever since I left the Yao clan, I have nothing to do with you." Yao Chun lifted his eyes and calmly looked at the old man from the Yao clan. "It is not up to you to decide whether you have anything to do with me or not. Since I have met you here, I will bring you back to the clan." The old man from the Yao clan spoke in a cold voice. "Boss Chu, please. I understand." Yao Chun threw his pleading eyes at Chu Bei. Before he could finish speaking, Chu Bei nodded. "Yao Chun, do you want me to attack?" The old man from the Yao clan moved after a cold snort sounded. At this moment, countless pairs of eyes, including the experts from the Hall of Souls, landed on the old man from the Yao clan. After all, most of the people present had just learned about the ancient clan. They were naturally unwilling to miss the opportunity to see the other party attack. The expressions of Lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the rest changed when the aura of the old man from the Yao clan was unleashed. The other party was an elite Do Sheng. The old man from the Yao clan appeared within 10 meters of Yao Chun after taking a step forward. He lifted his right hand, and a majestic Do Chi surged. "I am not willing to intervene in the matters of your clan. However, Yao Chun is one of my customers. He has followed me on this trip, and I have the obligation to ensure his safety." However, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded just as the old man from the Yao clan was about to slam his palm down. His voice was filled with a dense majesty. A terrifying aura that looked down on the world caused one's heart to involuntarily tremble. In the next moment, the huge, 6-colored flame palm that was suspended a short distance away trembled. The temperature in the air rose once again. Soon after, a finger-long mini-fire snake escaped from the huge palm. Accompanied by a deep sonic boom, the mini-fire snake pierced through the void. At the same time, the space in front of the elder from the Yao clan wriggled and a mini-fire snake appeared like a ghost. Looking at the sudden attack, the old man from the Yao clan was stunned. The next moment, the old man from the Yao clan subconsciously withdrew his hand, which was originally aimed at Yao Qian. He reflexively used it to block in front of him. Majestic Do Qi spluttered out of his palm and agglomerated. It swiftly transformed into a substance-like black shield. Qi. The mini fire snake slammed into the shield formed by the old man from the Yao clan. A sizzling sound rang out as the miniature fire snake pierced through the shield before piercing through the elderly man's palm like a bolt of lightning. Looking at the mini fire snake that was getting closer and closer to his glabella, the old man from the Yao clan quickly raised his right hand and punched out. Bang! The mini fire snake disappeared. However, the right fist of the old man from the Yao clan was charred. Even his bones could be clearly seen. If you continue to attack, the Yao clan will have one less dosheng. Just as the old man from the Yao clan was forcefully enduring the searing pain on his hand and preparing to attack Chu Bei, the latter's dense, cold voice sounded beside his ear. The body of the old man from the Yao clan was startled when he heard this. He hesitated for a moment when he met Chu Bei's eyes before letting out a cold snort. You should understand that there is always someone better than you in this world. Becoming enemies with my Yao clan is not the right choice. The old man from the Yao clan coldly looked at Chu Bei after returning to his original position. Are you threatening me? Chu Bei once again looked at the old man from the Yao clan. Murderous intent surged within his eyes. The old man from the Yao clan glanced at the six-colored flame palm that was trembling intensely a short distance away. His expression was incomparably ugly. He wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he chose to remain silent. The expression of the hunchbacked old man from the Hall of Souls had clearly become a little more grave after seeing the old man from the Yao clan being defeated by Chu Bei. Chu Bei ignored the old man from the Yao clan. Instead, he looked at the group of experts from the Hall of Souls, led by the hunchbacked old man. Rumble. Not far away, two huge, six-colored flame palms moved and faced the group of experts from the Hall of Souls. Seeing this, the group of experts from the Hall of Souls quickly retreated. They stared at the six-colored flame palms with incomparable fear. Deputy Hall Master, I'm afraid we have to ask the Hall Master to come out of his seclusion. An honorable elder came to the side of the hunchbacked old man and said, We might be able to take him down if we combine our strength. Boundless pitch-black Do Qi surged out of the hunchbacked old man's body after his voice sounded. The other experts from the Hall of Souls understood the hunchbacked old man's intention and shouted one after another. Just like the hunchbacked old man, rolling Do Qi quickly surged out of their bodies. At a closer look, the pitch-black Do Qi released by these experts from the Hall of Souls quickly turned into countless soul shadows. These soul shadows formed a strange formation in the sky with the hunchbacked old man at the center. After which, they knelt down with pious faces and emitted ear-piercing soul sound waves from their mouths. Worship of 10,000 souls. Countless soul sound waves agglomerated in front of the hunchbacked old man and turned into a solid sound wave arrow. From the beginning until the end, the hunchbacked old man's eyes were firmly locked onto Chu Bei. The moment the sound wave arrow was formed, he waved both of his hands. Immediately, the sound wave arrow shot toward Chu Bei's direction. Wherever the arrow passed, it would be accompanied by the sound of souls crying out in all directions. Even though it was merely the aftermath of this sound wave arrow, the faces of those Do Zongs and initial Do Zuns below paled. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. What a frightening soul attack! Even people as strong as Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others felt their auras become chaotic when they were swept by the aftermath. After sensing the terror of this sound wave arrow, they hurriedly activated the Do Qi in their bodies and firmly protected their soul consciousness. If it was me, I would not dare to receive such a soul attack. An elder from the Lei clan looked at the hunchbacked old man in shock. He did not expect the other party to be able to unleash such a frightening soul attack. Just when the experts of the 6 ancient clans thought that Chu Bei would avoid the attack, the latter did not dodge at all, and there was no trace of panic on his face. At some point, a glaring golden light lit up on Chu Bei's fingertip. Just as the sound wave arrow was about to pierce Chu Bei's forehead, Chu Bei pointed his finger and accurately hit the sound wave arrow. Buzz! In an instant, The golden light on Chu Bei's fingertip expanded and turned into a 10,000 feet large swastika-shaped golden light. Under the golden light of the swastika, the sound wave arrow that was formed by countless soul sound waves melted as if it had met its nemesis. Not only that, after easily destroying the sound wave arrow, the golden light of the swastika pressed down on the hunchbacked old man's position. Before the group of experts could react, the golden light of the swastika had already reached the group of Soul Hall experts. First, the tens of thousands of Soul Hall experts let out a shrill scream and turned into nothingness. Following that, the hunchbacked old man and the other Soul Hall experts spat out a mouthful of blood. In an instant, the hunchbacked old man and the others turned pale. Their bodies swayed as if they had suffered a frightening backlash. What's with that golden light? Not only did it instantly destroy that frightening soul attack, but it also severely injured those fellows from Soul Hall. The 6 ancient clans experts looked at each other and frowned. When they looked at Chu Bei again, there was confusion in their eyes. Boss Chu has the upper hand. Haha, looks like we might really witness the destruction of Soul Hall today. I'm inexplicably excited when I think of this malignant tumor being removed from the continent. Damn it, I almost died in their hands twice. Although the people below did not know what had happened after seeing the hunchbacked old man being injured, it was enough for them to know the outcome. Immediately, all of them revealed an excited and joyous expression. What have you done to us? The hunchbacked old man took out a couple of crystal-clear medicinal pills that were emitting a rich medicinal fragrance from his storage ring. He continuously threw them into his mouth. At the same time, his eyes stared intently at Chu Bei. The 10,000 soul worshipping was his strongest soul attack. It was comparable to a top Tian class Do technique. It was a move that he had learned by absorbing a countless number of high-quality soul bodies. Moreover, it had merged with 2 other Do Shangs and a couple of Do Zuns when it was unleashed. Without any preparation, even a 5-star Do Shang would be seriously injured. It was even possible for him to be killed. Earlier, this soul attack had clearly arrived in front of the other party. However, it was easily destroyed by the golden light at the other party's fingertip. The moment he was hit by the golden light, the countless dead souls that he had hidden in his body for many years all dissipated. Even the natal soul lock was destroyed at the same time. This was also the reason why he was instantly seriously injured. This move is called the Light of Judgment. The corner of Chu Bei's mouth was lifted into an arc. This was a rank 10 lower grade product that he had exchanged for. Although its killing strength was only ordinary among rank 10 products, it was extremely useful in dealing with soul attacks. After his smiling voice sounded, Chu Bei suddenly looked at Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others. Those who are not from the Hall of Souls should immediately leave this mountain range. In 3 minutes, regardless of life or death. An indifferent voice that did not contain any emotion was spat out from Chu Bei's mouth. It reverberated in every corner of the mountain range. Hearing this, the countless experts in the outer regions of the mountain range exchanged glances with each other. Without any hesitation, they immediately rose into the air and flew into the distant sky. Within a couple of breaths, there was no one else in the mountain range other than the people from the Hall of Souls. What are you planning to do? The hunchbacked old man frowned and questioned Chu Bei. Don't you know the purpose of my coming here today? After his indifferent voice sounded, Chu Bei waved his right hand, and the Hall of Souls barrier that was hidden in the void below was completely exposed. Rumble. As the 6 colored fire palms slammed down, the Hall of Souls barrier suddenly shattered. Immediately after, a large number of pavilions with the hall below as the center appeared in everyone's sight one after another. Among them, the thousands of Hall of Souls experts below were clearly visible. They were looking up at the sky with extremely heavy expressions. At this moment, the Hall of Souls headquarters was completely revealed. Rumble. At this moment, a strange buzzing sound drifted from the sky. Then, under countless shocked gazes, the 2 6-colored fire palms hovering in the sky slowly merged together. The terrifyingly high temperature burned the void. After the 2 giant palms merged, they gradually formed an incomparably huge mountain. Different from the color of the mountain range below, this was a mountain peak composed of 6 colors that overlapped together and was completely composed of flames. In particular, the purple-red color was even more terrifying. The flaming mountain peak slowly moved. Wherever it passed, the void collapsed. 6 different fire spirits jumped up and down within the flames, bringing about crackling sounds. When it moved above the Hall of Souls main hall, the flaming mountain peak burned even more fiercely. The flames that extended in all directions perfectly overlapped with the Hall of Souls area below. The formation of this flaming mountain peak directly caused the Hall of Souls area below to become scarlet red. No, stop! The hunchbacked old man and the Hall of Souls heavenly venerables saw through Chu Bei's intentions. Their faces were filled with fear. Chu Bei ignored the shouts of the hunchbacked old man and the others. He swung his right hand horizontally. As Chu Bei's hand moved, the enormous flaming mountain peak, composed of 6 overlapping colors, immediately fell down at a terrifying speed. Boom! In an instant, the Hall of Souls headquarters that had just been revealed, from the outer area to the inner area, including the main hall, collapsed. The Hall of Souls experts in the various large buildings did not even have the time to react. They did not even have the time to let out a miserable cry before they were turned into nothingness by the 6-colored sea of flames. He can already use the 6 types of heavenly flames to such an extent? The Yin clan expert was startled as he looked at Chu Bei. His face was filled with disbelief. When the flaming mountain peak suddenly fell, regardless of whether it was the trees or the buildings in the mountain range below, they were all turned into ashes by the fierce flames with a puff sound. In the blink of an eye, the Hall of Souls headquarters had completely turned into a sea of flames. Nothing was left behind. Dead. The Hall of Souls is really dead. Boss Chu has really done it. Other than these Hall of Souls honorable elders, the Hall of Souls experts below have all been buried in the sea of flames. When I think of the Hall of Souls methods earlier and look at the sea of flames below, I feel really good. In the distant sky, the experts from the various large factions looked at the fiercely burning flames below. Their shocked eyes contained excitement. That excited look on their faces made it seem as if this was their masterpiece. The experts from the ancient clans also stared at the 6-colored sea of flames below in disbelief. After exchanging glances with each other, they chose to remain silent. When they looked at Chu Bei again, their gazes contained an indescribable feeling. Clearly, they did not expect that Chu Bei's control over the 6 types of heavenly flames had already reached such an unbelievable level. Although this battle had yet to end, they clearly understood in their hearts that as long as Chu Bei did not die, he would definitely become a target for their research in the future. You will definitely pay the price. In the sky, the hunchbacked old man's pair of vicious eyes stared intently at Chu Bei. His expression was incomparably ferocious. Everything had happened too quickly. He did not even have the time to give the order to flee to the experts from the Hall of Souls below. In just a few seconds, the Hall of Souls, which had been established for hundreds of years and established a great reputation on the continent, ceased to exist just like that. The hunchbacked old man felt hot blood boil in his chest when he thought of all his hard work going down the drain. The murderous intent in his eyes wished that he could pull out Chu Bei's tendons and peel off his bones. Hall of Souls, tell me, what is going on here? Suddenly, a powerful voice filled with monstrous anger rang out from the fiercely burning sea of flames below. In the next moment, a burly figure flew out from the depths of the sea of flames. With every step he took, the surrounding 6-colored flames would be pushed back. Chapter 157. It was a man in a black robe. His body was sturdy and his face was shrouded in black mist, making it difficult to see his appearance clearly. His voice was powerful and filled with majesty. The experts from the 6 ancient clans frowned when they saw the black-robed man flying out of the sea of fire. Their faces turned solemn. Lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the other experts from the various forces in the sky had a tinge of fear in their eyes. The aura that the black-robed man released was far above the Deputy Hall Master of Hall of Souls. Hall Master, You've come out of seclusion. The group of Hall of Souls higher-ups, including the hunchbacked old man, quickly stepped forward and bowed when they saw the black-robed man. He's the Hall Master of Hall of Souls. No wonder he has such a terrifying aura. Do you think Boss Chu will be a match for him? The expressions of the experts from the various forces in the sky changed when they heard how the Hall of Souls' heavenly venerables addressed the black-robed man. They were originally happy about the destruction of Hall of Souls, but their expressions turned solemn when the black-robed man appeared. They knew that the battle was not over yet. In other words, the battle that would decide the outcome of the battle had yet to begin. Hall of Souls, what exactly happened? Hun Miesheng stared at the hunchbacked old man and questioned him. The hunchbacked old man pointed at Chu Bei and quickly explained what had happened. Hun Miesheng lifted his eyes and looked at Chu Bei after listening to the hunchbacked old man. He could not help but clench his fists tightly. No matter where you come from, even if you have other ancient clans behind you, you'll still die today. Hun Miesheng once again looked at the raging sea of fire before him. His cold eyes were firmly fixed on Chu Bei. The surrounding space was completely distorted by the energy fluctuations that he released. Chu Bei looked at Hun Miesheng. His expression did not change as he opened his hand and clenched it. In an instant, a six-colored flame prison appeared around Hun Miesheng. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to play with fire? Hun Miesheng did not panic at all as he looked at the six-colored flame prison. A cold and sinister voice sounded, and an extremely strange suction force suddenly swept out from his body. The indestructible six-colored flame prison that could even burn the void was forcibly sucked into his body. Hun Miesheng actually has such a technique. Given his strength, it is likely that he possesses an extremely high status even within the Hun clan. Hun Miesheng's technique immediately attracted the attention of the experts from the 6 ancient clans. He actually swallowed the 6 fused heavenly flames. Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others were also looking at Hun Miesheng in astonishment. There was disbelief between their brows. The taste of your flames is really not bad. Hun Miesheng hovered in midair and smacked his lips, looking as if he hadn't had enough. Hun Miesheng's eyes were once again fixed on Chu Bei's body after he spoke. Traces of black flames that contained a strange, devouring power seeped out from within his eyes. The surrounding natural energy was also continuously sucked into his body at this moment, after which it was completely devoured by the strange energy that the black flames carried. Don't you find it unbelievable? Hun Miesheng let out a cold laugh. The dark and cold expression on his face became even more overflowing. You have that 6-colored flame, but this chief has an even stronger heavenly flame. Hun Miesheng slowly extended his hand after his words sounded. A cluster of strange black flames suddenly appeared. The black flames churned and vaguely gathered into a human face. Waves after waves of devouring power surged out from the mouth of the human face. This is the second-ranked heavenly flame on the heavenly flame ranking, the Nihility Devouring Flame. The group of experts from the Yin clan seemed to have recognized the human face the moment it appeared. Their eyes suddenly shrunk to the size of a pinhole. Yao Chun, Xian Kong Zi, and the rest exchanged glances with each other. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Yao Lao, is that the Nihility Devouring Flame? Xiao Yin involuntarily exclaimed. From his surprised expression, a great storm had formed on his face. Nihility Devouring Flame, the heavenly flame ranked second on the heavenly flame ranking. Other than the 2 Shi Ancient God, which was ranked first, no other heavenly flame could compare with it in terms of its mysteriousness. It was rumored that this flame was born from nothingness. It could not be found and could not be grabbed. From a certain point of view, the Nihility Devouring Flame could be considered a relatively mysterious existence. At the same time, it was also known as the thing that could swallow the world. It possessed the ability to swallow everything. Only a few things in this world could contend with its devouring ability. Nihility Devouring Flame. How is this possible? How can he possess the Nihility Devouring Flame? The experts from the other ancient clans quickly identified the strange black flame that Hun Miesheng controlled. Immediately, an extremely shocked expression surfaced on their faces as they involuntarily muttered. This nihility-devouring flame had always only existed in legends. Moreover, it was rumored that the strength of this second-ranked heavenly flame was equivalent to a human high-class dosheng, or even a peak dosheng. From the current aura of Hun Miesheng, he was at the very most a 6-star dosheng. How was it possible for him to refine such a heavenly flame? It was also because of this that shock rose in their hearts when they saw Hun Miesheng unleash a dark black flame that possessed the same ability as the nihility-devouring flame. The second-ranked heavenly flame Sword Venerable, Lay the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley and the others in the distant sky trembled violently. Although they had never seen the nihility-devouring flame, they had heard of its legend. It is unexpected that the chief of the Hall of Souls has actually refined the second-ranked heavenly flame. With the help of the nihility-devouring flame, do you think that Boschu will be defeated? It is difficult to say. It is rumored that the nihility-devouring flame possesses the ability to swallow everything in the world. From the looks of it, wasn't Boschu's 6-colored flame swallowed by it? If Boschu is defeated in this battle, it is likely that none of us will be able to leave. The experts from the various factions watched the situation anxiously. Their expressions became increasingly solemn. Screech, screech, screech. After the cluster of black flame with a human face on Hun Miesheng's hand swallowed a large amount of natural spiritual aura, the black flame all over its body had become a little more powerful. An excited cry was emitted from its mouth. Today, I will use your blood to feed this little fellow. Hun Miesheng stared viciously at Chu Bei. Both of his eyes were filled with an intense murderous desire. Forget about this little thing. Even if the real nihility-devouring flame were to come, I would not be afraid. The corner of Chu Bei's mouth carried a smile. From his calm and composed expression, it was as though he did not view this nihility-devouring flame as a threat. Even the 6 ancient clans, Yao Lao, Xin Kong Zi, and the others revealed stunned expressions after Chu Bei uttered these words. Yao Lao, what do Boss Chu's words mean? Could it be that it is not the nihility-devouring flame? Xiao Yin looked at Yao Chen. Other than the nihility-devouring flame, no other heavenly flame could possess that kind of devouring power and that dark black color. Yao Chen shook his head. Clearly, he did not understand the meaning behind Chu Bei's words. Hun Miesheng frowned slightly after hearing Chu Bei's words. His hand slowly rubbed the cluster of black flame with a human face on his hand as he coldly said, You said that this flame of mine is not the real nihility-devouring flame. Then, what is it? Chu Bei unhurriedly replied after sensing the confused gazes of Xian Kongzi, Yao Chen, and the others. He slowly said, This flame possesses a devouring power and cannot be imitated. It is indeed something that belongs to the nihility-devouring flame. However, the quality of this flame is far inferior to the second-ranked heavenly flame on the heavenly flame ranking. It is merely the seed flame of the nihility-devouring flame. Chu Bei paused when he spoke until this point. Then, he added, What is a seed flame? It is a flame that is separated from the essence flame. The seed flame possesses the ability of the essence flame. However, its strength is much weaker. Simply put, it is the avatar of the heavenly flame. Hun Miesheng's expression gradually became distorted after hearing Chu Bei's words. An additional hatred appeared in his eyes. Hun Tiandi, I have followed you for many years. In the end, you are actually using a seed flame to trick me. Hun Miesheng's voice was low and deep. Both of his fists were clenched tightly. After forcefully suppressing the fury within his heart, Cold in the Forest stared at Chu Bei and said, So what if it is the seed flame of the nihility-devouring flame? It is more than enough to kill you. Hun Miesheng lifted his hand after Cold in the Forest's cry sounded. The human face that was formed by the cluster of black flame on his hand suddenly widened its mouth and ruthlessly bit the back of his hand. Immediately, the do qi within Hun Miesheng's body continuously surged out. Finally, it was completely devoured by the black flame. Hun Miesheng's expression gradually became a little pale. That black flame also became increasingly powerful. In the end, it actually emitted a sharp whistle from its mouth. Its head, which was originally only the size of a soccer ball, shook its body and became nearly 300 meters long. In an instant, the black flame churned in the sky. It was as though doomsday had arrived. Retreat. The experts from the 6 ancient clans immediately left the battlefield. The experts from the various factions watching the battle in the distant sky felt a chill rise within their hearts for some unknown reason when they saw the 1,000 feet large black flame. The do-chi within their bodies vaguely showed signs of breaking out of their bodies. Hiss hiss. The enormous human face black flame drifted in the sky. Its black hollow eyes stared at Chubei. One could occasionally hear the sound of saliva being swallowed. This caused the human face black flame to appear increasingly strange. It was just like a living life form. Kill him. Han Miesheng's eyes locked onto Chubei. At the same time, he issued an order towards the black flame. Hiss hiss. The human face black flame seemed to have understood Han Miesheng's words. After letting out 2 strange cries, the flame on its body whistled and moved. It quickly penetrated the empty space in a ghost-like fashion. The human face black flame immediately sealed the space around Chubei. Subsequently, threads of black fire spread and formed a square-shaped prison that trapped Chubei within it. Worry surfaced in the eyes of the experts from the various factions as they watched the scene on the battlefield. They did not expect that Chubei had used the 6-colored flame prison to trap the chief of the Hall of Souls. Now, the situation had reversed. The chief of the Hall of Souls was using the black flame to trap Chubei. Of course, the thing that shocked everyone present was that the human face black flame was actually able to attack on its own. If you feel that he is delicious, you can go ahead and swallow him. Enjoy this delicacy to your heart's content. The voice of the chief of the Hall of Souls once again drifted in the empty space. Chapter 158. On the battlefield, the human-faced black flame stared greedily at Chubei. Its expression was like a gluttonous child who had seen the most delicious snack in the world. After that, the human-faced black flame circled Chubei in a human-like manner. It looked as though it was thinking about where to bite. Screech, screech. Suddenly, the human-faced black flame stopped circling and faced Chubei's face. After that, a strange cry was emitted from its mouth. Soon after, a terrifying devouring power erupted from its body. Under such power, even the experts from the 6 ancient clans who were far away had a sudden change in expression. The next moment, under the countless shocked gazes in the distant sky, the black flames on the human face opened its enormous mouth and directly swallowed Chubei together with the prison in one gulp. Boss Chu, he has been swallowed. How can this be? Even the flame seed of the nihility devouring flame is so powerful? In front of the heavenly flame, Boss Chu does not have the ability to fight back. The heavenly flame that can devour everything is really terrifying. It is not something that a human can fight against. Looking at the human-faced black flame chewing, lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable and the rest, who were watching the battle in the distant sky, revealed a terrified expression. This fellow will not die just like that, right? The expert from the Yin clan frowned. He had wanted to invite Chubei to be the guest elder of their clan. It is not that he is not strong. It is just that the nihility devouring flame is too terrifying. Another expert from the Yin clan said, Boss will be fine, right? Little Doctor and Qing Lin's eyes were fixed on the huge, human-faced black flame. Their eyes were filled with worry. Xin Kongzi, Tang Zhun, Yao Chun, and the rest also wore a grave expression. This was because they did not know exactly how many stars Chubei's cultivation had reached. Rumble. Just as Xiao Yin and the others were feeling uneasy, the human-faced black flame on the battlefield suddenly stopped chewing. Its originally excited expression also began to disappear. The primordial flame of the nihility devouring flame is no longer moving. Could it be that Boss Chu has already been digested? In the distant sky, the group of experts looked at each other in dismay. Their expressions became increasingly ugly. The stooped old man and the other upper echelons of the Hall of Souls revealed joyous expressions when they saw this scene. As for the spectating experts from the 6 ancient clans, they were neither happy nor worried. There was only some surprise on their faces. After all, no matter which side won, It had nothing to do with them. They were just here to watch the show. Dying under the nihility-devouring flame can be considered a good ending for you. Hunmye-sheng glanced at the battlefield. His body swayed as a sinister smile appeared on his pale face. However, just when most people thought that Chu Bei had been swallowed and digested, the black flames on the human face that had calmed down suddenly surged wildly. Immediately afterward, a series of hair-raising hissing sounds came from its mouth. It was not difficult to hear the pain contained in the low hissing sounds. What is going on? The expressions of countless experts changed once again. They looked in shock at the struggling black flames on the human face. The distorted expression on its face made it seem as if it was experiencing some kind of inhuman torture. The smile on the corner of Hunmye-sheng's mouth disappeared. He could not help but frown. The change in the situation on the battlefield was too sudden. Everyone was unable to react in time. They could only continue to stare at the black flames on the human face that was rolling in pain. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Amidst the strange and ear-piercing burning sounds, the black flames that were originally 100 feet long were shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. 800 feet, 700 feet, 500 feet. When the black flames had shrunk to a size of 100 feet, the crowd in the distance was finally able to see the scene at the center of the terrifying black flames. Previously, there was a cluster of 6 colored flames at the innermost part of the black flames. The person that the 6 colored flames had wrapped around was Chu Bei, whom everyone had mistakenly thought had been swallowed and digested. They saw that he was still in the same posture as before he was swallowed. His hands were crossed in front of his chest. There was a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. It was as if he had not moved at all. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The black flames on the human face let out a strange cry again. However, compared to before, the cry now seemed to carry a kind of fear. The black flames on the human face opened its huge mouth. It seemed to have used all its strength to spit out Chu Bei, who was wrapped in the 6 colored flames. It was also at this moment that countless powerhouses finally saw Chu Bei's strange appearance. At this moment, in addition to being wrapped in the 6 colored flames, there was also an incomparably huge phantom behind Chu Bei. At a closer look, the phantom was a monster that was more than 200 meters long. Its body was somewhat similar to a lion's. Its entire body was covered in black scales. The scales flickered with a cold light that sent chills down one's spine. In addition, it also had a pair of wings that were at least 300 meters wide. They seemed to be made of steel. There was also a horn that seemed to pierce the sky. The black horn was entwined with golden patterns that spread all the way to its neck, back, and tail. At first glance, its body seemed to be covered in a layer of gold and black armor. The most terrifying thing was its pair of dark golden eyes. It was like the eyes of a god overlooking everything in the world. There was a ferocious look in its eyes. What is that? Why have I never seen it before? Could it be a magical beast from the ancient times? It was not just Jian Zunjia, Lei Zunjia, and the other experts from various factions in the distant sky. Even the experts from the 6 ancient clans were startled when they saw the enormous illusory figure behind Chu Bei. Their eyes were filled with a dense confusion. Elder He Qing, your ancient void dragon is the overlord of the magical beasts. Do you recognize the huge phantom behind Boss Chu? Venerable Wen looked at He Qing and asked. Xiao Yin, Yao Chun, Tang Zhen, and the rest also looked at He Qing. He Qing's gaze was firmly fixed on the phantom behind Chu Bei. After hearing Venerable Wen's question, he shook his head. My clan is the overlord of the magical beasts. We can make thousands of clans submit with just our might. At this point, He Qing looked at the phantom behind Chu Bei with a hint of fear in his eyes. However, the phantom behind Boss Chu makes me have the urge to submit. Moreover, the feeling that the phantom gives me is that it's still a child. What? Hearing He Qing's words, Venerable Wind, Yao Chun, and the rest's expressions changed. It was the first time they had heard of a clan that could make the ancient void dragon submit. Roar. Suddenly, the huge monster behind Chu Bei let out a roar. Although it was only an illusory image, the roar resounded in the sky, and shook the hearts of all the experts present. Amidst the roar, cold, brutal, this was it, a terrifying existence that no one knew of and had never been recorded before. Hearing this roar, the black flames on the human face on the battlefield quickly retreated and kept letting out strange screams of incomparable fear. "Little fellow, didn't you want to swallow me? Why did you run away?" Chu Bei looked mockingly at the black flames on the human face. As soon as he finished speaking with a smile, the huge phantom behind him suddenly opened its huge mouth. As it opened and inhaled, the void within 1,000 feet instantly distorted and collapsed. A devouring power that far surpassed the black flames on the human face surged out of the phantom's huge mouth. The moment the devouring power appeared, the black flames on the human face suddenly trembled as if it was suddenly frozen. Then, as if it was out of control, it flew toward the huge phantom's mouth. Screech, screech, screech. The black flames on the human face struggled frantically, and the fear in its cries grew stronger. It wanted to get away from the huge phantom, but the devouring power released by the huge phantom made it unable to resist. No matter how it struggled, it was futile. Seeing this, Hun Miesheng hurriedly tried to recall the black flames on the human face. However, the devouring power was too strong, and it directly caused the black flames on the human face to break free from his control. The huge creature behind Boss Chu also has a devouring power. Moreover, it's far stronger than the Nihility devouring flames' devouring power. In the distant sky, countless experts were shocked. Their eyes were wide open, as if they had seen something unbelievable. On the battlefield, the black flames on the human face that could devour everything seemed to have met its nemesis. It could not resist the huge phantom at all. Seeing the situation clearly, countless experts were overjoyed. On the other hand, the hunchbacked old man and the other Hall of Souls experts were the opposite. They became extremely solemn. Kaji, Kaji, Kaji. The black flames on the human face's cries were filled with fear, and its voice became weaker and weaker. In the end, with a buzz, the black flames on the human face were completely devoured by the huge phantom with a horn behind Chu Bei. After devouring the black flames on the human face, the huge phantom let out a satisfied roar as if it was extremely satisfied. "It's your turn." Chu Bei's gaze fell on Hun Miesheng. Don't come over." Looking at the figure that was slowly approaching him, Hun Miesheng instinctively retreated. His face was filled with fear, and he no longer had the aura of a formidable person. "Run!" The hunchbacked old man and the other Hall of Souls heavenly masters knew that the situation was hopeless after seeing the black flames on the human face being devoured. After shooting a glance at Chu Bei, they looked at each other and made the same decision. However, just as they decided to abandon Hun Miesheng and take the lead to break through the void and leave, a terrifying suction force tore through the void and directly wrapped around their bodies. In the next moment, the upper echelons of Hall of Souls, including the hunchbacked old man, flew uncontrollably towards the huge phantom behind Chu Bei. Soon after, a similar scene occurred again. The hunchbacked old man and the other upper echelons of Hall of Souls were devoured by the huge phantom before they could even let out a scream. However, this time, the huge phantom did not let out a satisfied roar. Clearly, the huge phantom felt that these upper echelons of Hall of Souls were different from the black flames on the human face from before. "I am an elder of the Hun clan. You killed my Hall of Souls experts without any restraint. The Hun clan will not let you off." Hun Miesheng forcefully calmed himself down. He looked at Chu Bei and subconsciously mentioned the Hun clan. "So what if you are from the Hun clan? Even if Hun Tiandi is here, you will still die. No one can save you." Chu Bei looked at Hun Miesheng indifferently. After his calm voice sounded, the huge phantom behind him opened its mouth again. Rumble. There was a loud explosion. With Hun Miesheng as the center, the space within 100 feet was devoured by the huge black shadow. In an instant, only Chu Bei and the huge phantom behind him were left on the battlefield. In an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on Wu Fong. No one spoke. It was dead silent. Chapter 159. High up in the sky, the gazes of countless experts were firmly locked onto Chu Bei, and they were all flabbergasted. It was only after a long while that someone broke the silence. The dead silence was broken, and the clamor reached its peak. It's over. It's all over. Boss Chu really did it. Soul Palace was gone. Soul Palace's palace master Hunmia was dead. Soul Palace's experts were all dead. From now on, Soul Palace is truly removed from the continent. Yes, Boss Chu removed the tumor of Soul Palace. It's a blessing to the entire continent. From now on, we don't have to worry about the soul-reaping chain taking our souls. What do you think is Boss Chu's cultivation level? Even the second-ranked Nihility devouring flame, which is said to be able to devour everything, was devoured by him. I really want to know what that shadow behind Boss Chu is. Even a warrior as strong as Soul Palace leader couldn't resist it at all. Didn't you notice? When that shadow used the devouring energy, it didn't cause any ripples of dough energy. It's like there's a huge energy that we've never come into contact with before. Whether it was the 6 ancient families, Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the other powerful warriors, they were all discussing intensely, and the topic revolved around Chu Bei. At this time, Chu Bei stood in the void space, looking at the system panel that was constantly increasing his reputation points, and he smiled satisfyingly. The devouring energy he used before was a level 10 middle grade product, and it came from swallowing star space from a young golden horn beast. The golden horn beast was the huge shadow behind him, and it was also a one-time consumable. Yao Chen, have you really never thought of returning to the clan? A red-robed elder looked at Yao Chen from where the Yao clan was. Elder Feng, we're all smart people, and you know what happened back then. Was that considered leaving? I was obviously expelled. Do you think I'll go back? Yao Chen was obviously much more polite to this red-clothed elder than the previous one. Yao Chen, let bygones be bygones. The red-clothed elder shook his head and sighed. Old Feng, I no longer have any feelings for the Yao clan. Right now, I'm just the pavilion master of Xingyun Gu in the central province. After saying that, Yao Chen cupped his fists at the old man. You don't have to persuade me. Forget it. Since you've already made up your mind to break away from the Yao clan, I'll let you do as you wish. The red-robed old man didn't say anything else. Everyone, the Hall of Souls has been destroyed. It is time to disperse. The huge shadow behind Chu Bei slowly disappeared, and his calm but majestic voice echoed in the sky. Upon hearing Chu Bei's voice, the clamor in the sky disappeared. After exchanging glances with each other, the group of powerhouses simultaneously bowed in Chu Bei's direction. Then, one by one, they turned into rainbows and flew back in the direction they came from. Today, although they had come close to the gates of hell due to the soul-reaping chains, they had come out unscathed. Moreover, they had personally witnessed the destruction of the number 1 faction in the Central Plains, the Hall of Souls. Their trip was not in vain. The group of top powerhouses from the 6 ancient clans sized up Chu Bei once again. After exchanging glances with each other, they broke through the void and left. After this battle, Chu Bei's name would definitely spread throughout the Central Plains. In the near future, he would become a household name in the entire Doqi continent. They had to rush back to their clans as soon as possible and report what they had seen today to their patriarch. 6 hours later. Have you all heard? Boss Chu really flattened the Hall of Souls headquarters. It is said that if he hadn't arrived in time, those people who went to watch the show would have become the souls of the Hall of Souls. It's really a pity that we didn't get to witness Boss Chu's power with our own eyes. After the effect of the tap water, the news of the Hall of Souls headquarters being destroyed quickly spread to all the major cities in the Central Plains. Large and small factions, as well as ordinary people, began to discuss intensely. At the same time, Chu Bei was sitting on a chair in the main hall of his mansion, paying attention to his reputation points. 89, 991, 89, 992, 89, 993. As Chu Bei waited anxiously, his reputation points finally jumped from 89, 999 to 90. It was also at this moment that the reputation gift pack icon behind the reputation points on the system interface turned from gray to colorful. Chu Bei didn't hesitate at all. With a thought, he impatiently opened the reputation gift pack. Host has received a level 11 lower grade offensive item. The specific item can be obtained by fate. Duration, 1 hour. The moment Chu Bei opened the reputation gift pack, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. At the same time, a colorful square box appeared in front of him out of thin air. It was overflowing with light and was very beautiful. Level 11. Chu Bei was stunned at first. After he reacted, he looked at the colorful square box floating in front of him with a face full of shock and joy. Based on the offensive goods that he had used so far, the strongest grade 10 low-grade offensive goods could easily kill a 3-star Dosheng. A level 10 middle-grade item wouldn't have a problem dealing with a 6-star Dosheng. As for a level 10 upper-grade item, it should be able to fight against a 9 stars Dosheng. The reputation reward was a level 11 item. Although it was only a low-grade item, it should be able to fight against a beginner Do D. Thinking of the power of the level 11 item, Chu Bei felt an inexplicable sense of pride. Of course, since the level 11 item only had a duration of 1 hour, Chu Bei wouldn't open the square box now. Right now, other than the level 11 square box, he also had the right to use a level 10 upper grade item from completing the 9 Dragon Lightning Flame trait. This was also his current trump card. Boss, what are you laughing at? Sensing Chu Bei's unintentional smile, Qing Lin revealed a curious expression. Getting rid of the scourge of Soul Hall and Central State naturally makes me happy. Chu Bei casually said, Boss, someone has sent you an invitation. Accompanied by the sound of footsteps, the little fairy doctor quickly walked into the hall. Following behind her was a green-clothed old man. Boss Chu, do you still remember me? Previously, I personally witnessed your battle on the battlefield. Once he entered the hall, the green-clothed elder cupped his fist towards Chu Bei. Someone from the ancient race? Chu Bei recognized the green-clothed elder, and his eyes were filled with confusion. Boss Chu, I'm here to invite you to participate in the Void Trade Fair between the ancient races. You're a businessman, and this trade fair definitely won't disappoint you. As he spoke, the green-clothed elder took out a purple gold card and handed it to Chu Bei. Void Trade Fair? Interesting. Chu Bei's interest was piqued as he took the purple gold card from the green-clothed elder. Boss Chu, tomorrow is the opening day of the Void Trade Fair. If you're free, why don't you follow me to the ancient realm today? As his voice sounded, the green-clothed elder seemed to have thought of something and said, May I know if that little fellow Xiao Yin is still in your house? That girl Sun Er is mumbling about wanting to see him. Chu Bei glanced at the green-clothed elder before calling Xiao Yin over. Xiao Yin was unusually excited when he found out that he could head to the ancient realm. Lead the way. A couple of minutes later, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded. Hearing this, the green-clothed elder from the ancient race waved his hand and cut open the empty space, creating a tunnel in the empty space. Seeing the green-clothed elder's move, a shocked expression surfaced in Xiao Yan's eyes. Clearly, he did not expect the green-clothed elder to be an elite Dosheng. Following behind the green-clothed elder, they walked through the tunnel in the empty space. Not long later, the group broke through the empty space and arrived at an incomparably ancient city. In the middle of the city, there was an extremely large lake. The lake appeared clear from a distance, but it gave one a kind of deep feeling when one looked up close, causing one's hair to stand on end. Boss Chu, this is the place that leads to the ancient realm of our clan. The green-clothed elder pointed at the lake and waved his sleeve after speaking. Immediately, a wave of ripples appeared on the originally calm lake, following which, an extremely frightening spatial ripple spread from the lake. Chi! An extremely bright light pillar shot out from the bottom of the lake. In the next moment, in front of Xiao Yan's shocked eyes, a black spatial door that led to an unknown deep place slowly appeared within the light pillar. Boss Chu, please. The green-clothed elder pointed at the black spatial door in front of them and politely gestured to Chu Bei. Chu Bei nodded in response, following which, he took a step forward and took the lead to step into the black spatial door. The little doctor, Qing Lin, and Xiao Yin followed closely behind. After passing through the spatial door, the scenery in front of the group underwent a tremendous change. Clouds floated in the blue sky that stretched as far as the eye could see. Below them was a green grassland that stretched to the end and swayed with the wind. Further away, one could see many exquisite houses gathered together. It seemed to be a city. Is this the ancient realm? What rich natural energy! It is at least a couple of times stronger than the outside world. Xiaoyan closed his eyes and inhaled a deep breath of air as he sensed the natural energy around him. He let out an emotional sigh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Before Chu Bei's group could continue moving, a couple of long rainbows flew over from afar. In an instant, they arrived in front of Chu Bei's group. This was a group of warriors wearing golden armor. When they saw the green-clothed elder, they hurriedly bowed. They are the guests that I have brought back to the clan. There is no need to check their identities, the green-clothed elder said faintly. Yes. Hearing the green-clothed elder's words, the warriors in golden armor quickly left. They are the black submerged army of my clan. They are guarding this ancient realm. The green-clothed elder explained the identity of the previous group to Chu Bei as he led Chu Bei to a central city in the distance. Big Brother Xiaoyan. The green-clothed elder had just flown into the city. Before he could arrange a residence for Chu Bei and the rest, a purple-clothed young lady flew over from afar. Sunair. Xiaoyan recognized the purple-clothed young lady at a glance. With an excited expression, he said, "You have broken through to the Fighting King realm. I have already said that I have my own ways to quickly raise my cultivation." Xiao Suner held Chu Bei's arm and then looked at Chu Bei. Sunair greets Boss Chu. After learning that Chu Bei was an elite dosheng, Xiao Suner's attitude towards Chu Bei was very respectful, as if she was facing an elder of the clan. Clearly, in Xiao Suner's eyes, Chu Bei was an old monster who had lived for hundreds or even thousands of years. Finally, Xiao Suner playfully stuck out her tongue at the green-clothed elder. She seemed to be thanking the latter for bringing Xiaoyan back. "Quickly look at the sky. Isn't that Miss Sunair? Oh my God, who is that young man?" Miss Sunair is actually holding his hand. Don't tell me that he is that Xiaoyan who grew up with Miss Sunair. It should be. Otherwise, who else can be so close to Miss Sunair? Speaking of which, why did he appear in our Gu realm? It seems that Elder Gu Shan brought him back. Other than Xiaoyan, who are the other three people? In the city, some people noticed Xiao Suner, especially when they saw Xiao Suner holding Xiaoyan's hand. They could not help but open their mouths and exclaim, "In a bar? I really don't understand. Why would Miss Sun Air fancy an outsider?" A black-clothed man put down the wine in his hand and focused his eyes on Xiaoyan. His eyes were filled with coldness. Sunair has only been with him for a long time. Opposite the black-clothed man was a red-haired man. When he saw that Xiao Suner was holding Xiaoyan's hand, his face became extremely gloomy. "I really don't understand why Elder Gu Shan would bring him to the Gu realm." The black-clothed man was puzzled. "Find out where they are staying." The red-haired man looked at the black-clothed man and said, "In the sky, Xiaoyan seemed to have noticed the envious, jealous, and hateful gazes from the city below. His face revealed some helplessness. Sunair, aren't you making enemies for me? I don't care. I just want to tell those guys that I have someone I like." Xiao Suner said proudly. "Then, aren't you worried that they will come and find trouble with me?" Xiao Yan pointed below. "Aren't you with Boss Chu? With him around, who can hurt you?" Xiao Suner looked at Chu Bei and said, "Boss Chu, I have already prepared a place for you to stay. I will bring you there now." Soon, Xiao Suner brought Chu Bei and the rest to a luxurious mansion in the center of the city. "Girl, is this the guy from the Xiao family that you have been thinking about? He is just a Do Huang. I really don't understand what you like about him. Which of the younger generation in the clan is not more outstanding than him?" Chu Bei and the rest had just landed in the mansion when a calm voice suddenly exploded like thunder. It sounded in their ears without any warning. Soon after, a middle-aged man who was surrounded by clouds appeared beside Xiao Suner out of thin air. Seeing the middle-aged man, the green-clothed old man bowed slightly. "Father, you are not allowed to say that about Brother Xiaoyan. Perhaps in your eyes, those guys in the clan are more outstanding than Brother Xiaoyan. However, in my opinion, they can't be compared to Brother Xiaoyan." Xiao Suner glared at Gu Yuan. Her words were filled with resentment. Father. Xiao Yan's expression was suddenly startled when he heard how Xiao Suner addressed the middle-aged man. His pupils instantly widened, and he was momentarily at a loss. The middle-aged man in front of him, who looked no different from an ordinary person, was actually Xiao Suner's father, the clan leader of one of the ancient clans, the Gu clan. He possessed the strength of the peak of the 9 stars Doshang and stood at the peak of the fighting broken continent, Gu Yuan. Why? Are you nervous to meet your future father-in-law for the first time? Xiao Yan staggered when he heard Chu Bei's playful words. The corner of his mouth twitched involuntarily. Gu Yuan and the green-clothed old man's expressions also changed. Only Xiao Suner's face revealed a shy expression. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.